So this is Game Maker's Toolkit. I'm Mark Brown,
Yay.
and here's how to keep players engaged without being evil about it.
Okay.
All right.
A crucial factor is pacing, which describes the rhythm of the gameplay you'll be experiencing.
What a horrendous place to start. One of the most difficult to define sort of.
Couldn't have gone for anything else.
Go for anything more nebulous than pacing. Like,
I love it. These videos are so bad.
someone in chat just said, "What is evil pacing?"
The reason pacing is so fucking annoying is because pacing is good when it's good and bad when it's bad.
Yes.
Right?
Your game should be fast. It should be fast. It shouldn't be too fast because that's evil, but it should be fast because that's
Make sure it's nice and slow when it needs to be.
You don't want to go into the evil
Yeah,
speeds.
but fast enough to be exciting, but not too fast to be evil.
This is when Bart gives advice on someone solving a Rubik's Cube, and he says, "Put the middle side topwise." The most like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like, do it.
I just wonder what
sure.
didn't make. I wonder what didn't make the list before that. Like, make sure that the game turns on, and that will be really engaging for everybody.
That's a good
It's like-
start.
yeah.
Maybe that's
So
why
that sounds like
Doom
hijacking the
2016.
brain.
I mean, yeah,
Look,
like I
if
was
the
about
game
to
never
say,
turned
so
on, you
say
couldn't get
that
manipulated.
Doom 2016 had bad pacing.
Maybe
evil pacing,
we'll
probably.
have to see what he's going to say.
And is
Isn't it?
paramount.
You love it.
Did Ultra Kill hijack my brain when like I first picked up the pistol in the first level, and then like the way the music set the pace in that level and the way the gameplay felt like had me super invested and engaged? Was that like
yes,
a brain
but in a
hijack?
good
Or
way.
was that
I mean,
not a
he's got
brain
Titanfall
hijack?
2. He's got Titanfall 2 gameplay here, and that multiplayer is like fucking high-paced, frenetic action that really raises your heart rate and gets you excited. That's some cool shit. And like, so it's like super duper fast paced. The game that he is playing.
Someone has asked, why is pacing a bad place to start? If a game is slow, it is boring. So the problem is the discussion on pacing is so incredibly nebulous and subjective. It's almost impossible for. I don't know what statement exactly he's going to say. But I have a feeling it's not going to be all-encompassing or remotely supported. It's just going to be feels. It's going to be like, games need to change their pacing appropriately. They need to do good pacing.
Yeah,
Right. What is good pacing? Is it
argument.
Counter-Strike? Is Counter-Strike good pacing? Is Schedule 1 good pacing? What about Picross? I love Picross. I play nonograms all the time. They're as slow as
Well,
you can
could
get.
rank
What about Peak?
shooters,
Also, it's incredible.
like all FPS is on a scale of speed from 0 to 10 or 0 to 100, doesn't really matter. You probably can fill the whole section. And you can recommend, and it's just like, so which is the good ones and which are the bad ones? Like everything up from 50 is good and everything below it's bad. You're just like, what?
But also, pacing is very subjective to a person's.
Yes.
So,
well, but some people prefer
Simulators.
non-stop. Some people prefer gaps. Some people prefer ups and downs and waves. Some people prefer all kinds of rhythms. And then we talk about the development cycles of why they may want to engage in that and the benefits and drawbacks of each of those sorts of things. This applies to movies as well, by the way. Hardcore Henry, that fucker just keeps going. Some people love that, okay? Some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to be accounting for
2
chill gamers. I just know it.
For
Like
Titanfall
the
2, you could maybe make the argument that Effect and Cause is like the best mission in the game, and it happens a bit too early on and makes all the other missions seem a little less awesome in comparison. But I think
It is the best
wouldn't
mission.
make that argument.
I would agree.
well-paced games.
I've talked to some people in Titanfall 2 was way too slow for them. But then there's some people who will play nothing but Civilization.
Those people are
Epic
addicted to
speed.
drugs. They have a
Yeah.
drug problem.
Yeah, like if you play Civilization on Epic, it'll take like 100 turns to discover, masonry or something like that. Like one of the core basic things like that game can run for, I think, thousands of turns or something. So everybody has their own
Terrible
pace.
pacing. Yeah, that's awful.
It should
all
not
be a horde-based tower defense game, and that's
true.
Yeah, I know.
Play you'll be experiencing and is paramount to making sure a game doesn't become boring or repetitive. So if we take a game like Uncharted, we'll see that it has lots of different types of gameplay, which are
Does it?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I would not pick Uncharted 4. Like, I know we just said pacing is incredibly subjective, but I would not pick Uncharted 4 as an example of good pacing.
No, I quit that game because of
the big
pacing.
open map areas.
Like, what
super
he's showing here, it's only about at the end of this section of the game that you can say that the game proper begins. Up to that point, all of the gameplay is in some sense restricted. You don't get like the full Uncharted combat experience. Now, whether or not that's good or bad is like, well, it's not good for replay value because why would you want to go play those earlier levels, right? Like if you want to skip the cutscenes and then play through those early levels, like damn man, you're not going to have a lot of material there.
Yeah.
Does that make it good or bad pacing? I don't know. If you really, really like it the first time around, for whatever reason that you may enjoy those sections for the first time around because of story, sure. But like, how much does it count for if the replay value is diminished by choices like that? And also, is it even reasonable to ask all games to be like Uncharted in the sense of, yeah, we're going to have some exploration, you know, climbing sections, and then we're going to have some like open world sections where you move around the map in the Jeep, or we're going to have some puzzle sections to break it up? It's like, I don't know that you can say that that is a greater way to structure a game than something like Doom, where it's just like, yeah, you get it and you kill shit for the whole thing. Like, I don't know. It depends on what your mood is, what your appetite is, you know?
I think I could much more easily get sucked into a playthrough of Doom and play it from beginning to end in a short amount of time than an Uncharted game, where if the story's hooking me, I might want to continue playing, but I don't necessarily think I'm going to be like super compelled to be like, okay, I'm going to go through this platforming segment again.
You can tell if you watch me streaming any Dark Ages, I'm like, whenever it's cutscene time or walk through here to listen to this sort of time, I'm just like sort of rocking back and forth in my chair, like, please let me kill things. I just want to kill things. I just want to kill things. Please let me kill things.
Yeah, the story is just so ever present, and it absolutely kills the momentum. I would even argue that like the kaiju robot sections kill it. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%, 100% agree on that.
But it's changing it. You've got different types.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to be careful, Mark.
You get to the Fade in Dragon Age Origins, that certainly changes the pacing of your experience, all right?
This isn't a strict contradiction, but this is like a kind of weird thing to say to me on the grounds that like some really, really common like early dev advice is to like make sure that your game has a really strong, like builds the core of your game first and then hang everything off of that, like the core gameplay loop of what you are trying to do, and then hang everything off of that. Whereas here we're sort of like suggesting, no, you've got to be swapping things up every like so often in order to keep people engaged. That would speak to a lack of effectiveness on the part of wanting to have a really strong core foundation for the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of go both ways. You can just have a really, really good foundational gameplay loop or whatever you call it that kind of just carries you through the whole game with just additions and slight variations. Or you can do kind of like the split fiction or It Takes Two model, where you just come up with a new game every 20 minutes, and that's fun too. But that takes a lot of development to come up with that many different kind of sets of gameplay.
Or you have a 17-hour intro like Twilight Princess or Fallout 3.
No, I was just about to say, like
most Japanese role-playing games.
I would just have to say, like, pacing doesn't even really lead to success or lack of success. I mean, one of the most controversially paced games, I would say, is probably Red Dead Redemption 2, which had an over 2-hour prologue. That game sold 77 million copies. So
it's a complete. This is where the conversation is difficult as hell.
How do we account for a typical Mario game where it is all platforming? There's different types of platforming, different kinds of levels, different kinds of challenges, but it is one game. It is one like style of game throughout the whole experience, more or less, with minor deviations. I mean, particularly if you're talking about like the 2D Mario games, it's very consistent. It's kind of the point, though. It's like, yeah, you're going to be engaging with the same core set of mechanics. We're just going to challenge you more with each successive level.
You just reminded me, by the way, because when I first got the GameCube, which I was very lucky to get my hands on, same for Mario Sunshine. I remember I'm pretty sure my copy didn't have a cover. I got it from like a bargain bin, and did not have a memory card, so I got as far as I could, and then had to go back to the beginning for the first few however long before I got the memory card. And I remember coming to despise that opening cutscene in where Mario goes to prison. It just got longer and longer every time. The seconds were so straight. I was just like, come on, I just want to run around, jump on things. I hate you so much. It's a fucking unskippable cutscene.
We'll see.
There's a reason why the cart ride is one of the first, like removing the cart ride in Skyrim is one of the top downloaded mods. Is because people just don't care after their 10th, like their third character is like, just skip it.
I've seen it one time. I don't need to do it
Project
again.
Red. Yeah, CD Projekt Red gave you the option to skip the entirety of the intro if you wanted to, and get into the, I guess you could say, the game proper.
I feel like a lot of that comes from Valve, right? Because you've got the tram ride on the Half-Lives, and all of them kind of do that. And there's this sort of big movement to give you these big cinematic intros. But I think it works exactly once, right? Like, it works in a Half-Life, but it doesn't work the second time, and it doesn't work the third time. And every game that kind of takes from that, including Skyrim, I would argue, it doesn't really work beyond that first time.
It can't all be Bioshock.
I just wish every game would take a Life is Strange double exposures lead and just have a skip gameplay button. Just like,
Sure, yeah, exactly.
I was about to say that was a really strange reference, but I can see that you were shitting on it. So that's
like Uncharted, we'll see that it has lots of different types of gameplay, which are often called pillars. That includes combat, climbing.
By nobody except maybe developers, I guess, when developing. Like, it's such a...
The pillars of the game,
it's unnecessary as fuck. He literally didn't need to say that. It didn't benefit the script at all.
You didn't put it up on the screen in text.
You did put it up on screen.
No text.
No text, yeah.
Slipping.
That's how you know.
It is
Puzzles,
a bit of a Chris Stuckman statement as well
pieces.
to say that, like, video games, they have gameplay, and gameplay can include things like combat and running and
this is the problem. We already know where he's going with this. He's like, Uncharted will switch between the 4 pillars, and that's what makes the pacing good. It's like, bro, no. It's so much more complicated than that.
Yeah. Combat, climbing, puzzles, cinematic set pieces, and even non-interactive stuff like cutscenes. What you'll notice is that Naughty Dog swaps between these pillars constantly. Never.
Well. So word for word. Well, the thing is that the switching changes a lot. The longer the game goes on, the more that it's combat. That's like generally how it works in like the monastery mission in Uncharted 2. That's like an hour and a half. That mission's like really long. It's basically all combat, which I don't mind, by the way, because it's like, I want to get some combat. But the longer the games go on, the more that they skew heavily towards combat over even cutscenes. Usually the cutscenes start to get much sparser, except for Uncharted 4, because that game's got a lot of fucking cutscenes.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for budget too, right? Like, put it all at the beginning, because that's what most people are going to watch. Most players never make it past 50% of any game. So it makes sense to put a lot of these things forward in the beginning and really kind of focus on switching back and forth to capture whatever kind of interests you have to keep you playing as long as possible.
See, the awkward thing, though, when you bring up an example like Uncharted is, but the combat's like the most engaging part, because the climbing is not, it's linear. There's nothing to figure out. There's no particular challenge to it. It's not, I mean, hell, even in Assassin's Creed, like, there's a degree to which you need to, like, make choices about which path you want to take. It became less so with the later games. You could just kind of climb up anything, but it was a little bit more dynamic. The climbing is just, you just climb that way. The set pieces are often really cool as a spectacle, sure, but they're not hyper interactive typically. And the puzzles only work once, because once you figure it out, that's it. Like, when you replay it, it's like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do. So the most engaging part of an Uncharted game is the combat. So maybe there's a case to be made that it shouldn't switch up as much when that is the most complete part of the game.
If you watch like a 5-minute cutscene and then you do a 5-minute climbing section and then a gunfight starts and they present to the entire world a poll, how long should this gunfight last? And it's just like, you're going to get all the answers ever. Everyone's really like, 10 minutes, 15, 20, 9, 7, 13, 8. Just like, guess you have to average it out, because if you say, like, oh, this is the perfect time for a 15-minute gunfight, be like, someone else would be like, yeah, it lasted way too fucking long. It'd be like, uh-oh.
Sorry,
I don't even know how I'd answer that.
I know, it's the problem of pacing.
I'd be like, I don't know.
It's really hard to pin down. And also, like, are we going to have a conversation? You shouldn't have brought up Uncharted. Like, are we going to have a conversation about the times that the game takes away control and how that can be really annoying? Like the Nadine fights. It's like, oh, you can't win this. We're going to let you play it, but you can't win it. It's like,
but look at
okay. Or what about the slow walking sequences where you are forced to walk instead of being able to jog?
Like, Gears of War are probably the worst invention of modern gaming to me. I fucking hate walk and talks.
It's the top tier's got to be the one where they make your speed inconsistent with the person you're following.
Oh,
I didn't learn why they do that. though.
Some games have figured this out where you hold a button and you automatically follow the person, but geez.
Well, some games have figured it out where if you run, they run. Like
they just follow, or you lead them and they just follow at whatever speed.
If they add that, but a lot of the times you're just stuck there with this slow asshole they have to listen to.
Well, most of the time it's run, stop, run, stop, run, stop, run, stop.
You just start exploring. You're just looking at shit while they're rambling.
Do this in real life, by the way. It's a lot of fun.
I like games that give you a little bit of options for like you can do it better in modern or sci-fi games where they switch to radio if you just decide to wander off and do something. But honestly, I think it's just kind of you can probably write the game better, so you don't have to have these big exposition dumps. I always think of where
you have games where those like the voice lines will overlap into one another in places that are very specifically meant to be walked down. Someone's talking to you, then you cross the line where this other mandatory thing comes in, and you wanted to listen to the first thing, but it gets cut off by the next thing. That is insanely frustrating. It's such an amateur mistake, but you see it way too often.
That's why they do the slow walking mode, because they don't want you to hit those gliders or those checkpoints too early.
It happens all the time with like audio logs too.
I was just going to say the Rockstar games, I guess, do the walk and talk in a way that makes a bit more sense, because generally characters will have a conversation when you're driving in a car with someone or like riding horse next to them.
Yeah.
The really cool part is that the longer that the series went on, the more that they would have alternate ones. So like if you failed a mission, like in Grand Theft Auto 4, you failed a mission and then you drove back, they would sometimes have like a second conversation that you could listen to. And it helps that the dialogue is really funny and entertaining because it's a Rockstar game. Because if the dialogue isn't good, fucking hell. Like, that can be a real problem.
God of War, too, when you're in the canoes, and Mimir will, like, tell you a story.
Yeah, but I mean, that's unmatched, though. Like, in terms of, how well they handled that.
I've heard consistently that Alan Wake 2 is one of the worst games to replay because of all the exposition and the just long stretches of dialogue and investigation and Mind Palace stuff. Like, that game is I guess pretty torturous to go through the second time.
Wait, which game? Sorry,
play the game.
Alan Wake 2.
Oh, that game's torturous the first time.
I would say because another one that jumps out, I always bring it up, Infamous. Like that game has a lot of like dialogue, but it will just be like in phone calls that you have while you're like free to just traverse the city.
So someone mentioned in the chat like audio logs.
Audio logs tend to be a really good way to do it.
Yeah.
Like ones where you can listen to it, but like you get to still play the game completely. No slow walking or anything like that. It's just like, oh, I get to listen to this conversation while I'm flying around and gliding across all of the power lines and everything, and still fighting bad guys. It's like, yeah, that's like a.
How dare you give the credit to the chat? That was me who brought up the audio logs. How dare you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading the chat. I'm sorry.
Good job, Moriarty.
The absolute insane carrying that the writing's doing in the God of War 2018 and Ragnarok games for the kind of really boring traversing through certain areas, be it climbing walls or moving through loading screen stuff, but having them talk with the stories they share or the jokes that are getting told or the setups for all the different dramas, just like, holy shit, how much like it like almost cures the drawbacks because you're getting story while just moving some random buttons on the controller here and there. But in a sense, you're almost highlighting the issue, which is do I need to be doing this? Like, and it's just like, well, that's the problem with a lot of modern games. Shove it, because I've always appreciated it as a point. I think the last time we talked about it, Theo brought it up, but hiding loading screens behind traversal that eventually become pointless because systems advance, but those traversal parts don't. So they're just permanently there as a blockade. And it's like, what have you got to deal with it? It's like, well, we've got dialogue. It's like, yeah, sure. But what if you've heard it before? Or what if you ran out?
You're thinking like the Mass Effect elevators and stuff?
That's probably applicable.
I never thought that was that bad, but that's a way of basically elevating a rough part of the game by adding some story or adding some narrative depth to it, but at the same time you are just kind of highlighting that part probably isn't the ideal way of engaging the player. So I see probably more often is that people write a complex story or a big exposition dump and then they need to tailor some sort of gameplay around it so it isn't just a cutscene, because I think as soon as people see like press A to skip, they're probably just going to do it if it's boring, or if they want to get to the next section, or they want to get to a save point or something like that. Whereas I can't always tell if it like the chicken or the egg. Was the narrative there first, and they're just tailoring some gameplay to kind of fill in the gaps, or were they trying to patch over a slow part of the game? It's hard to say sometimes.
Naughty Dog swaps between these pillars constantly, never lingering on one type of gameplay for too long. And what that means is as soon as you start to get bored of, say, shooting enemies, the game will switch to something else.
Man, that's incredible that Uncharted 4 managed to do that for literally every player.
Yeah.
And also, like, does it speak to anything that I'm starting to get bored after whatever amount of time that is? Can that not speak to a different sort of problem than, okay, we've got to be switching? Maybe there's something we could do to make the gunfighting more engaging. Maybe there's something we could do to give the player more meaningful interaction in the other sections. Like maybe the climbing could be actually consequential. I don't know.
Well, like,
maybe. Apparently he got bored with Doom 2016 shooting.
I know, that's so... Obviously, like, what we've got to draw right now is he's simply saying in the broadest way possible, one way to avoid player boredom is to switch the type of gameplay. It's just like, yeah, I guess, but there's so many more specifics that come with that. Well, and then, of course, yeah, there's this... Dark Ages is the perfect example. Cutting from the, like, crazy ripping demons apart shit to the mech sort of sequences, you're just like, man... This is just what I was doing, but way worse suddenly. And they're like, yeah, but it's different gameplay. It's like, not really. It's just worse.
It's so much worse. It could be a downgrade, too.
Yeah.
Entirely, and hopefully regain your attention. But you can also consider the intensity of each pillar, as a puzzle is often much calmer than a frenzied firefight. And it's important to move fluidly between different intensities, as spending too long on calm...
I highly disagree that you have to move fluidly.
This is what I mean. It's different for fucking everybody.
Because sometimes the sudden shift between sometimes the sudden shift between having a calm moment and then action breaking out, or even an almost anticlimactic, like everything just went down and now it's dead calm because it's all resolved. That's not fluid at all, but that's part of what can give it a lot of impact.
I'm pretty sure
the game that is on screen right now has maybe 30-second stretches of anything other than all-out crazy combat.
I assume that's the point. This
He's probably referencing that,
this is being brought up to say, like, this game never stops, and maybe that's a problem.
But I was just going to say, I think it might be God of War 2. I'm not sure if it's in God of War 1, but there's a puzzle-solving section, and to be subversive, like 3/4 into solving the puzzle, you'll get attacked by some beast, and then it goes, cuts you straight jarringly into a battle. And it's like, oh, wow, that wasn't smooth. And you'd be like, yeah, like, that's on purpose. Yeah, it's to make you go like, whoa! Kind of exciting. It just feels like these statements are all flippable, and I feel like another Mark Brown video might be saying those flipped statements.
Intensities, as spending too long on calm gameplay can obviously be boring, but at the same time, trying to keep the game at max intensity for too long will lead to exhaustion.
All of this is all just you don't want it to be too bad. Ever.
Not even that.
Way.
Keeping it on calm gameplay. Stardew Valley, Mark Brown. What the fuck are you talking about?
Minecraft, yeah. Like literally the highest selling game of all time is almost exclusively a whole bunch of calm moments.
This is what I'm saying though about the two bad comment is the ultimately useless statements of we're not getting anything from this. He's literally just saying you don't want a bad experience.
Right, which is why as soon as he said pacing, we all started laughing because this is what it was going to be.
That's the worst thing to start with.
Or desensitization. So Naughty Dog modulates these moods carefully. Look at how we go from calm puzzle solving and climbing to an intense firefight through the city, then a slightly calmer exploration of the train yard, followed by rising intensity as...
So is this the best format?
Vanquish is better than all the Uncharted games.
Well, why is this better than Doom?
So because that's kind of, and what happens if somebody says, well, yeah, I'll replay the train mission. Like I'll stop there, but like I'll skip the missions before and after it. Like how many people when they want to replay Uncharted or like Uncharted 2, yeah, I want to replay, I think it was chapter 17 where you just walk through their village. Nobody's doing that. They're gonna replaying the combat missions if they're gonna be picking those ones. If they replay it at all.
Ironheart flashback.
What?
Well, I mean,
you just gave me an Ironheart flashback.
in God of War 2018 when you have to go and find a flower to help heal the boar. It's like, I don't think many people are going to want to go through all that on the second time around, really. They're not going to be that. It's not like it takes ages, but I'm just saying, there's certain parts you could be like, yeah, but it's a nice break from the, and you're just like,
Well, the thing is, if I want a break, I'll not play the game. It's fine.
Well, I'll
play a different game.
I would be happy to argue in favor of the way that Uncharted 2 structures its gameplay, but the thing is, it kind of relies on, as long as you're up for this kind of experience.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Plenty of people won't be.
And you want to see combat all the time. Like, if you're in sync with Uncharted, yeah, it's super fun. But like, if you go, well, I don't really want to just like walk around and not be in combat. Like, I know that was an intense mission, but I'm up for more. It's just, this is not like a universally, fundamentally 100% engaging, if we're using it the way that's being used here, game. Some people will find this boring.
Well, I remember Ukulele, when that came out, a lot of people complained that after every level complete, you get like a quiz section, and you have to answer questions about the world you just went through, puzzles to complete it, and different characters you met, names. If you can guess it all, you get like maximum points. I remember a criticism a couple of videos had at the time was that this destroyed pacing. You can't be platforming for like 2 hours, clearing a whole world of all these different puzzles, and then do a fucking 20-minute quiz. And I was like, why? I thought it was fine. I liked it as a cap off for the 2 hours of doing the whole world, and I knew that I had to sort of, when playing it, be like, oh, I just spoke to Grumbo, and it's probably worth remembering his name is Grumbo because it might come up in the quiz. I knew someone could be like, that sounds retarded. It's like, well, I don't know, I just found it a bit of fun. Didn't bother me. But loads of people said it ruined the pacing, and I was like, oh, I think you can make an argument that it boosts the pacing.
You want us to pay attention to everything? How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the same argument. I think this is the same argument in essence of I want easy mode in Souls games, right? Like, I think that is what we're actually getting as far as an argument here. Because every game isn't going to be the same, and you're not going to get the same experience. Not everybody's going to get the same experience. So, like, ultimately, Mark, your whole point comes down to games should be tailored for their audiences, which is great, I guess.
Well, just to be clear, when we make these, all I'm saying is it's like so fucking valid to have both perspectives. It's really hard to nail down who's right here. Should you have 4 pillars, or 3, or 5, or 1? It's like, well, it depends. What are you trying to make? Yeah, and it's like, no, 4 is correct. You're like, oh.
Okay, all right. I mean, damn, if it was that easy, then fucking every single.
Well, the fact that he's already said it's like it'll switch up before a player gets bored. It's like, how do you know that? What are you talking about? What are you basing this on?
It just becomes super awkward to try and get anything out of this because, like, if I'm, say, an amateur developer, what lesson am I supposed to take from this in terms of, like, what I should be doing? Yeah, my gameplay needs to have 4 pillars. What if that doesn't fit, like, what I'm actually trying to do?
Then your game is bad.
Well, so Doom obviously would have benefited from climbing sections, maybe put a mech section in there, put a section where you're flying a dragon, and then he would have completed Doom 2016. Unfortunate that it didn't have that.
You fight your way along a train, leading to a very intense cinematic moment. But that all leads to the calmest section of the entire game, as you recover in the Tibetan village and explore a puzzle-filled mountain with Tenzin, before it all kicks off again with an intense siege back at the village.
She's a great companion.
But like, what would he say to a person that said, I hated that whole section, I wanted to get back to the action?
Well, and also, how is he going to deal with the fact that from this point onward, it's basically all combat? Like, from this point until the end of the game, with very few small stretches of non-combat, it's like all combat, and maybe 1 or 2 puzzles.
He will not.
So, like, does the pacing fall off a cliff at the end? Because obviously, you can make a case for, well, no, the whole point is, like, now that you're at the end of the game, you got to give people the most challenging content, and the most challenging aspect of Uncharted is shooting. It's not going to be climbing, and it's not going to be the puzzles. So, like, is it better, or is that good that they decided to make it relentless pretty much from here on out? And why aren't we talking a little bit more about the nature of these levels, right? Like, because right after this is the convoy mission, sort of the beginning of kind of the beginning-ish of like convoy levels in Uncharted games, which are particularly fun. Like, do we want to talk a bit about that? Like, variety within the scope of just combat? Like, what kind of environments are you going to be traversing? I don't know. Like, this is really simplistic right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure fuck it is.
There's going to be people that Uncharted is way too hectic and fast paced for, and there's going to be people who think that what was the other game? The Vanquish. Vanquish is going to be way too slow for them. Like, Ultra Kill is like barely fast enough for them. There's going to be all sorts of walks of life. There is no cure all for that, and it's just what is your audience gonna like? What is your particular audience used to? Pretty much, that's honestly a bigger thing than you can just see like what people have tolerated and appreciated in the past. That's basically all you can work off of, unless you're creating a brand new experience and you don't even have that much.
Some of the best pacing I've ever seen in a game, and personally, I found it almost impossible to put the game down.
But all you've told us as to how is there's 4 different types of gameplay, and they switch it whenever you were feeling bored.
Half of them aren't even fucking gameplay.
Because I feel, if you were to ask me, what is a game with incredible pacing? Yeah, I mean, because sometimes it's not even like you do really anything that much different. It's just slight. Like, let's take BioShock for instance. There's not really segments in that where you do something super different from what you're doing at the beginning. You just get like a new gun, a new plasmid, a new area, and it's just kind of like this steady progression of finding some new things here and there, and enemies evolve a little bit. It's this nice steady progression of like mechanics and stuff, but you're essentially doing from the beginning what you're doing at the end.
They keep giving you more variables, right? Like, there's more ways to attack, there's more enemies that have more complicated ways to access weaknesses. You get the camera to gain yourself more points. Then there's obviously what you can do with the little sisters, and then the exploration, and then learning more about the story. It's all, you're right, it's all stuff you can do from the beginning, but the more you progress, there's just all these variations that get added on top that make it a bit more complicated, a bit more fresh until you reach the end.
They don't have this is the combat section. This is the platforming section. This is they just don't have that. You're essentially in control the entire time.
Well, and how does a game like Tetris manage pacing? Like, what can they do?
Dude, I heard that
changes it up, doesn't it?
Apparently Tetris only has the one pillar.
Tetris is literally all pace.
What a joke.
That's shit game.
Tetris sucks, right?
One fucking pillar, loser, pillarless.
I get the idea Mark's a really big
when I first played it. Now, of course, this sort of cinematic pacing is a lot easier in a tightly controlled, linear experience than an open-world game where the player can do whatever they want. But making sure the player has lots of different types of activities they can do...
I would say that is this Far Cry 5? What is this game?
Yeah, this is Far Cry 5.
A game that I like Far Cry 5 a lot, all right? However, as has been noted by a lot of people, there are some big pacing issues, specifically pacing issues with Far Cry 5 in terms of, you filled up the bar of stuff happening. It is now story time, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it sucks.
Not a great, it's like specifically a bad example for pacing, but you go for it, Mark Brown, video game expert.
I'd say Ubisoft games in general have had a really hard time with pacing. They just, the big open world sections where you have to kind of complete a bunch of nebulous tasks in order to move the story along, or you can get really lost in a lot of Ubisoft games.
It's sort of definitional, right? Because the pacing is partially determined by the player's pacing. So, in an open world game like a Far Cry, if I don't want to go to that next island and go do something else, I am determining my own pacing. And sure, you could argue that, offering me the ability to control my own pacing in that way might lengthen the amount of time that I am playing in this particular session. And maybe it gives me more sessions overall. But, that is not what he's talking about here, because you can't do that in Uncharted. I can't just decide to go do a climbing section because I just really like the climbing mechanics.
With open world games, you need to make it so that way, if somebody does go out of their way to go to a different spot, it doesn't completely break the story. You can progress with the story in different ways depending on how you do it. So it's not impossible. It's just it's more difficult is all it is.
It's a really, really difficult balance as well, because on the one hand, you want to incentivize exploration. Like, one of the things Starfield does incredibly badly is incentivizing exploration. You can spend a long time traipsing across procedurally generated planets into interesting looking caves and find a slab of iron. But then if you do too much to incentivize exploration, then you do run the risk of destroying the pacing of the main story, unless you're very careful with how those things sort of intercede and where you're pushing the player to go at any one time. It's why I think the open world games are just they're very unreliable, because so much of it is just, it kind of depends on the player, but it also depends on like how open your open world is, if that makes sense. Like how much is there to distract people from the linear path that the story inevitably has to go down eventually.
Basically, you have to make pocket stories inside of an open world. They have to be almost little Microsoft contained stories that push toward the main one.
Yeah, I mean, but you could do this in good ways or bad ways. If you want to, I mean, one example would be, we can compare Oblivion to Skyrim, because these are popular games a lot of people know of. If you don't want to engage with the main quest in Oblivion, then don't go to Wayne and Priory. And then you just, like, the Oblivion gates won't open, and you can essentially just play everything in the game before that and then start up the story. Whereas if you can compare this... Well, if you compare this with Skyrim, then you essentially everything is funneling you towards the main quest in Skyrim. In which case you've got the dragons start occurring, and then you have to deal with them, and they're a fucking nuisance because that game sucks. And there's all the stuff you have to do. But so if you want to not engage with the main quest, it's like, well, everything's really funneling you super strongly towards it in not a good way.
You get sucked in no matter what. You're right. You can't choose your own path in Skyrim. Even you think you are, but everything ends up at Whiterun eventually. So.
Yeah, and if you to compare it to another Bethesda game, we have Fallout 4. I mean, the issue there is that narratively, you're looking for your missing son, and yet the game is also like, hey, I know your son's missing, and you're a parent, and you really care about finding your child, but there could be duct tape in that outhouse over there, and oh, look, a building you haven't found. Ooh, a cave. Ooh, what's up with that? Ooh. And so everything in that game that screams exploration open world is completely at odds with the narrative of what they're trying to sell to you.
Yeah, which happens in a lot of these games, right? You get that ludonarrative dissonance, which happens, like Cyberpunk is one of my favorite examples of this, because you are literally dying, right? Like you have
every second
you are dying, and yet you'll be like, I'm gonna go over here and like just hang out with some people and go to a nightclub, and
it is. Yeah, and then when you start, depending on how, because I'm at the point where I've basically done everything there is to do except the main quest, and then when you start doing the main quest, all of a sudden that that dying of yours really starts to have a lot of consequences, even though it essentially never ever pops up in the entirety of the dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of all the side content and stuff that you do as days progress and pass by. It's a bit of a story, immersion. Luckily, you're super immersed in everything else that you often forget there is a technical main quest and things going on, because the game's good enough to keep you distracted with all the other cool stuff in that game and how immersive it is.
When you're mentioning Oblivion, sorry, go ahead.
I know. I was just going to say that's one premise I kind of like, and it didn't do it perfectly, but Far Cry 2 with the whole malaria thing, that was kind of a cool way of keeping the player hooked. It's like, oh crap, you're dying of malaria. You got all these side effects. Maybe you should go get some more medicine. This guy knows where some medicine is. It's just kind of a way to kind of drive you toward certain objectives. There was a point where that wasn't really a problem anymore, and you kind of get lost in the Ubisoft kind of endless things to do, but the game was definitely, I think, better paced than some others.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say before is when you were mentioning Oblivion and the not having to do the main quest. I think I might have put 50 hours into a Dark Brotherhood game before I even touched the main story of Oblivion when I first played it.
Of different types of activities they can do, so they can modulate their own fun if they get bored, will certainly help. Pacing is not just about how well the developer juggles its gameplay pillars, but also how often it introduces entirely new ideas, whether that's areas, mechanics, enemy types, and so on.
No, Mark.
I just want to point out that this video has some shit pacing, because he has 4 other things to talk about, and he's already a third of the way through the damn video.
Always like this.
He plants the seed, the tree begins to grow, he grabs one branch and then grows 7 off them, and grabs one of those, grows 7 off them, and then concludes. And you're like, dude, what?
The Mario games are wonderful at this, as you never know what to expect from stage to stage.
Well, sure, but they completely break what you just established.
You do know that you'll be jumping. That's something that you do know that you'll be doing every single
running around and
this
jumping.
game has one pillar.
He's something of an expert in Mario jumping.
That's it.
Yeah. One day we'll know the secret. Yeah.
No, but it is funny. It's like, this isn't. You should not have brought up Mario after Uncharted. Mario does not have the same philosophy when it comes to pacing as Uncharted. It has one core experience that it modulates that experience.
It's like BioShock. It's like Doom. It's essentially you're doing the same thing, and they just keep adding little flavors and variations and locations to essentially the same core thing that you keep doing.
I don't think there was like a 30-minute sequence of Mario, like after a train crash, walking through the snow and saying, "Oh fuck, this is so cold. This is so cold. I hope I don't die out here and bleed out."
You don't remember that in World 2-3 when him and Luigi are slowly walking through the level and they've got their finger up to their ear and he's going, "Oh damn, the locusts are coming. What are we going to do?"
I just wanted to share this.
Play bowling with me.
This horrifying news.
Tapered off a little bit at the end there, but it was fine.
We will not be discovering the secret to Mario's jump. Confirmed.
Good. That means it. No, that's good. It's good to have a little mystery in the world. You don't want to know the answers to everything.
He asks the question and he doesn't answer it. All he's done is taken away. I can't believe it.
Yeah. He's like an actual con artist.
Well, he's like a magician. You can't tell a magician's secrets.
Just no immediate plans. I guess that means that we could have it one day. He might explain to us what the secret of Mario's jump is. Not yet, though. Not yet.
Right after Avatar 3 and Half-Life 3, and yeah.
A good question for another time.
So even though there's not such a diversity in types of gameplay, it's mostly just platforming, by consistently introducing novel new ways to play, the game really keeps players engaged and keen to see what's in the next level.
Okay, I guess it just does. That's just how that works. So why wouldn't Doom count? Doom does that.
How come Doom didn't do
What's
that?
the next enemy type going to be?
Next
the
gun variation.
And also, you haven't really explained.
Weapons.
Like Mario does do this, but you haven't explained how it does it. You just kind of said it.
Yeah, and how to do it badly, because loads of games do this. So there's got to be a difference, right?
Novelty can work even better when paired with mystery, anticipation, and foreshadowing, which is when you tease a player about something.
Oh god.
He's explaining what foreshadowing is.
Oh god.
It can work better. It's like, all right, yeah, I guess it can.
This is called foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing is when you encounter a door that you can't open in a Metroid game, apparently.
Well, yeah, it's just going to be when you encounter something that looks strange and you have no way to deal with it, and then you can deal with it later as you go back. Just Metroidvania standard.
A door does foreshadow an open door.
I guess so.
This reminds me of this. This reminds me of this funny political ad parody I saw a long time ago. I don't remember where, but it was like and one of my points is, as president, will be, I'll never be condescending, which means talking down to people. Did you know that?
New coming up, so they just can't stop playing until they see what it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Take a game like The Witness, where you come out of the starting area, and if you're like most players, you'll quickly stumble upon this door, which features a puzzle that is essentially impossible to solve with your current knowledge. It really sticks in your head though, and you'll need to know what's behind that door.
Every one of these, you can present the opposite, which is players get frustrated that they don't understand the puzzle, and so they quit. Players don't like too many new mechanics being thrust upon them, so they quit. Players don't like to juggle so many pillars of gameplay, so they quit. It's just like, you gotta tell us a bit more.
He should have gone with like one of the most classic video games of all time that started a lot of trends, which is Myst. You have essentially zero context to anything. You're dropped on an island. You come across different puzzles as you explore the island, and those lead to different lands. And then you're like, oh, shit, bring me the blue pages. Who are these guys? Cirrus, Akanar, what's going on here? And then you essentially discover everything without any prompting, and you piece together everything along the way. Same thing with all those styles of games, Riddles, Riddle of the Sphinx, Time Lapse, and Riven.
I believe Myst was the #1 best-selling game for a while, too. And that game
took a long time for it. Yeah, it took a while for it to get beat.
It got beaten by The Sims, but up until then, yes, it was. It's also what facilitated the sale of CD-ROM drives.
Yeah. It's almost like we've got video game historians in here. And this game up here on the screen, I don't know what it is, but this game looks like a great game that I shouldn't play.
I mean,
I hate this game. I hate this game so much.
You need to have a notebook near you, and if anyone finds it, they're going to think you're a crazy person.
I was referencing
Blueprints, then.
A video.
I love Blueprints.
Oh,
this sort of stuff.
That's a Jim Sterling video you're referencing.
No, I think it was what's the guy? Yeah, Anderson. It was a great game you shouldn't play. I think that was his title.
Oh, because I guess we both work because the specifically, there was a video I did a while back where I got my dad's notes for when he played like Myst and Riven, Riddle of the Sphinx, Time Lapse, Pegasus Prime, like all those kinds of old like games, and he kept all of his notes and he knew where they were when I asked him, and I put him in a video and it has all of his diagrams and drawings and everything, because someone was, I think it was Jim Sterling who was bitching about like I shouldn't have to use notes and stuff to play your game and things of that nature. And like, man, like that's wild.
Kind of a lost art. Just
that's
saying.
one of the things that made Blueprints so novel and interesting.
Yep.
Was the idea that it's like, hey, get out a notebook and just start like recording the things you see. You're probably going to need to do so in order for this game to be able to like be playable, essentially.
Yeah, requiring external memory in some capacity, either really good memory on a person or their note taking ability, is kind of a dead art at this point. So many games just kind of just guide you and constantly remind you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're afraid to do that. And like, guys, like for those of you who don't know, Steam has a built-in note feature that's actually quite robust and amazing in terms of it saves your notes whenever you're in a game. You can like have the notes always be on the screen if you want and change their opacity so they're always kind of there and you can move it around. It's actually a really awesome feature. If you ever need notes in a video game, you could just have that. Steam's got it built into the overlay, the Shift Tab overlay.
Is it only typed notes, or can you draw things as well?
I don't know. For
the witness, you need to be for the witness. You'll be drawing a hell of a lot of line puzzles in your notebook and turning the page around and going to view it from a different angle. And
let me check.
Like I definitely had a friend come over to my place when I was playing that game, see my notepad, and was like, "Bro, you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a long story."
So you can save multiple notes, and you can scroll between multiple notes. It looks like it's only text, but you can pin the window to the game and change the opacity of it, and it remembers the notes from the last time you had them. It's like it's saved, like a little mini document on the Shift Tab overlay. Bold, italics, underline, strike through, those advanced options. Heading 3, code block, bulleted lit. Jeez. Insert links. Oh yeah, this is like a word processor that's built into, essentially. Neat. You could probably make a game inside of the notes feature, but it's actually really a great feature. So, yeah.
Keep you playing for ages. Remember when you saw Sen's Fortress in Dark Souls and just knew you had to see what was behind that giant door?
Dark Souls, famous for loads of players giving up. So I don't know that you should be citing this.
Dark Souls.
It's not necessarily a problem, but still.
Dark Souls.
How many players saw this, were like, I've got to see what's behind that, and then quit at the gargoyles?
Any more than any other
I'm not that curious.
In the Dark Souls game.
You're standing not far from one of the bigger filters in this game.
Dark Souls.
But the door! What's behind the door?
Of what's around the next corner is one key reason that makes the Souls games so damn hard to put down.
I like how
so damn easy to give, or so damn easy to give up. I mean, if we're gonna be real.
I'm sorry, but like we can't be saying exploration. That seems like it's a bit too easy.
Whatever you say
in this 5-second clip.
Sorry. I mean, he's a classic for always referencing Dark Souls. By the way, I appreciate that every time. Gotta come in.
In the same sense, exploration is actually just like a really easy thing you can do because players are naturally curious, and their desire to like look around and explore the environments they're placed in will just lead them to engage a lot. But I feel like we've got to raise the bar a little bit.
Yeah. We're nearing halfway and we've learned nothing. Once again.
Metroidvania games do this well.
4 pillars. We learned that. Don't forget about the 4 pillars.
Many games do that.
We
Many
learned
games
that
have
things...
exploration.
One every minute that we were watching this video.
That's a bold claim there. Many games have exploration.
Hard to put down.
I love that game. You can't show more than 5 seconds of Bloodborne without having like a severe frame rate drop. It's just like impossible.
Yeah, it's part of the dreamlike qualities.
Guys, I got to restart my PC. It's lagging. Something's going on here.
Blood Bingus.
Games do this well also, as a game like Hollow Knight quickly establishes that you will be getting interesting new powers, but it doesn't tell you what they are.
Oh my god.
Wow. Wait. As opposed
is that good or bad?
Most games don't telegraph exactly what it is. Also, that you get it and then you're like, oh, this is what it does, and it tells you as you get it.
Several of them are quite predictable, by the way. Dash, double jump.
Whoa, now. Calm down.
Oh, Dean Takahashi is not going to like that.
It just teases you with things in the environment that you can't bypass yet, leaving you to anticipate what cool new ability you'll be getting next.
Jesus Christ. Come
The promise of a reward is good.
You need to get
fine.
Like this video, like all of us, it would actually benefit from citing specific examples and explaining them to people. Like in this game, when you were at this location and you see this thing, but you can't get it yet until you go here, and then you can backtrack and get it here, and then like stuff like that, instead of just these vagaries. Tying these sorts of concepts to specific examples is one of the best way to get people to like have it stick in their noggins.
But you can
and then
do all
notice
that.
it
Doesn't help the overall point of the video as far as I'm concerned. It's like if he did that, I'd just be like, okay, so all games should do this? And it's like, no, only the ones where it works well. Like what?
The Metroidvania classic of like see thing you can't access into go and get the thing that lets you access it, then go back and do it or get it or whatever. Like, yeah, that's a satisfying thing that makes those sorts of games pretty neat. I don't know that it's a like specific part of engagement, specifically the seeing the thing that I can't do yet. I really don't know if that has a strong contributing effect to my willingness to keep playing the game.
I mean, why did
it doesn't for me because it's just showing me the thing I already know about the game. I like there is a meta here, which is I am a person playing a video game. As I start the game, especially in the early stages, I will come across and encounter things as I go. If you show me if I turn the corner and there's a door to a new area, that doesn't really necessarily have any different of an impact than there's a door over there. I'll go there one day. Anyway, back to the
did
thing
he
I
give
was
a
doing.
reason why Hollow Knight is being used as the like, you'll get a new ability, but you don't know what it's going to do yet. You'll just have seen like a jump that's a little too high for you, and then you'll have a double jump and you can get it. It's like, did that not happen in Super Metroid? Also, like every Metroid.
Hollow Knight's popular. I don't know. Like,
isn't that crazy that we're getting Silk Song before we get part 2 of The Secret of Mario's Jump?
Yes.
Wow. We're gonna get a George R.R. Martin novel before we get this part 2.
Yeah, Silk Song before Winds of Winter. It happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless George Shadow drops it.
Players new
I guess
stuff
back
is
to old reliable Half-Life Part 3.
The thing about giving players new stuff is that each drop is an exciting motivation to stay engaged, but this burns out rather quickly and the player needs another one soon after. But if you
No, not necessarily. It depends on how well the environment and the enemy incorporates the stuff that you actually get. You can do a lot with very simple mechanics if the world is tailored around them, and if there's a lot of great feedback that's rewarding to the mechanics. A single punch or a kick or shooting a gun can have 1,000 different effects if you build the world around it and build the enemies around it.
Portal has like 4 things you can do in the entire game. Right, like 4 things.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, basically.
You could get a new ability, but then you can also get a different enemy that requires a different way to destroy it, or the same enemy, but in a different environment that requires different things to destroy, or different. It's just like you're constantly changing things. Yeah, all of this can be engaging, but what if it's like the same thing you already did, but again, and you really like it because it's really well made? Or is that bad? I don't know. What are the rules?
Well, it doesn't have 4 pillars.
Like
you need to
go pillars.
You got to go really low and then really high, and then you got to walk around for a bit. And if you don't have those things, every game is bad.
At that point, is it simply a matter of like know when to not overstay your welcome, which is just vibes?
Someone in chat said he's talking about a feature of Metroidvania games and using Hollow as an example. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We're watching the video too.
Yeah, we got that.
That is
I can actually see it on screen.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't even need the audio from this video to have picked that up.
you tease the player, you can get them excited before you've even dropped the new content, which increases the amount of time you can go before dropping new stuff.
You could easily make the argument that this also removes the sudden excitement of uncovering something suddenly, and that it's trying to build up slowly, you getting to something, and by the time you get it, you're almost impatient to get there, or you are no longer surprised by it. Mm-hmm. So,
Economical. Perhaps the most obvious place for mystery, though, is the narrative. Traditional media uses cliffhangers and unanswered questions to keep you turning the page or watching after the adverts. But it's surprising how few games really nail this. But every now and again, I'll play something.
Break is the example you use of a game that really nails it.
I guess
Okay.
Quantum Break is one that doesn't nail it.
Yeah, I think Firewatch is supposed to be the one that does.
What did he say was the thing he didn't want any of these to do? Mind grab you, mind hook you, something? I forget the.
Oh shit! You're right. That was the. That was the point. I forgot.
By holding off the answers.
That's literally. I forgot what
That's
the
what I
video
don't
was
understand.
about.
How does this not qualify?
I
think
we were gonna
Platoon
talk
literally
about, like,
cited
spinner boxes
cliffhangers and stuff.
Yeah, I mentioned cliffhangers. It's because it all depends on does the person who's using the word addictive think that what you're doing is good or not, and that's it. And so like these devices and tactics will be good or bad purely depending on whether he's already formed a good or a bad opinion on the thing you're doing. In this case, the game you're playing.
Yeah, and it was true in the last point too, where he was saying, "Oh, you can hold off on actually giving players content if you just tease more content to them."
Yeah,
that's what I mean. There's a way more negative read of everything he's referenced so far, and then there are games that do what he's referencing, but really badly, and he doesn't want to get into it because it's just like, nah. I think if you just drip feed features or drip feed different columns of video, that's just the way you do it. Good stuff. And then I cite a whole bunch of games that are universally loved, so I can't be controversial. Done. Print.
Firewatch is basically an etc. game, so maybe that fits into
those etc. games.
God, yeah, I've never played a game. Firewatch is one of those games where like it teases so many interesting things happening, and then the answer is just like, yeah, it was kind of nothing. By the way.
Yeah, Gone Home was the same way for me. It's like, wow, there's such a cool story they could have told here, I guess. But
I remember when I finished Firewatch and I felt so cheated. I was like, oh, it was just some person who was kind of there. That was the answer. There was no greater like spy narrative that they tried to tease or anything like that.
Firewatch, which is a game about a man who works at a fire lookout tower and gets embroiled in a thriller that will keep you going until you find out exactly how it ends. And yes, that's the ending.
What if I wasn't though? Like, well, what
if I wasn't engaged?
It's just so weird how definitive he is with this. Like, the best way to pace a game, it includes multiple formats of gameplay, or it doesn't. And then it'll have, releasing piece by piece little bits of gameplay. Or it'll be that you foreshadow these things and then provide them later. Or it'll be story. You're just like, this is just playing games, man. Like, this is where you got this from.
That's right. Game Maker's Toolkit.
How is this a toolkit?
So
this is what I mean.
Nobody
a dev
who's
that
making
truly
a game
wants
is going to benefit from this.
A dev who's truly wanted to make video games and has already practiced and then stumbles across this video. How is any of this useful at all?
It's so useful because, that's right. This is a way to keep players engaged by teasing them with things that they might unlock later, because that way you could spend a little bit more time not unlocking it before you unlock it, and that keeps the player engaged.
But again, that's not evil.
Yeah,
we don't give a shit about that entire concept. The whole hour we spent when this video began with that discussion, we wasted our time.
Which is funny when it's in the title. It's in the title, but it's not even a part of this video at all.
Yep.
Like the morality of engagement in video. That's what I thought this was about, is like how to morally engage players without being predatory. That has nothing to do with what this ended up being.
Like every time we've ever watched one of these, it's always
didn't he? Like, didn't after the line he said, but this is not that video. So then why the fuck did you mention it? Like, why put it in your introduction? I'm now expecting a more interesting video than you're going to give me.
It's foreshadowing. It's good.
It's foreshadowing.
Ironically, it's an example of bad game design, is what it is. Like, this entire video is just, it's a mile wide in. That's a big problem with game design. It's like it's promising way more than it can possibly deliver. And it doesn't. It covers too many bases without ever actually exploring anything. Pick a single game. Pick a single pillar. Do a 10-minute video on why that game really works on that particular pillar. Negative counterexample to prove the opposite point. Second video, second pillar, same thing again. All it's doing is saying, hey, rewards are good. Here's a game that does rewards. Moving on.
I feel like if you want to actually make a game, then you're going to be way better served just like watching, what's his name, Tim Kaine, the Fallout guy, who has a channel where he just talks about the development process and why decisions were made and how they analyzed player feedback and made changes. Like, you'll learn way more about
I would argue you'll learn more by playing games than you will listening to this.
Absolutely. He is relying on you, bringing in way more knowledge than he actually provides.
Exactly.
I would have given this a video a thumbs up immediately if he said, Firewatch is a game where you play a man who watches for fires.
Ah.
I would have given him like a 10 out of 10 right there.
Satisfying. You just didn't get it.
Wait a minute. What was that?
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
I didn't get that.
What do you say there, buddy?
Find out exactly how it ends. And yes, the ending is satisfying. You just didn't get it.
Oh,
No,
What?
it's not.
Oh, he's throwing
And I did.
shade. He's throwing
Oh,
shade
he's so
at us.
silly.
Oh, look at that.
There's
How
not
cheeky.
that
If you
much
didn't find it
to the
satisfying,
ending
you
of
were just
Firewatch.
Get
so
a
stupid.
Mog
Just
Brown,
dumb.
I guess.
Just a dummy.
Just like the Last Jedi all over again.
You just didn't get it.
Now, one of the most compelling things a game can do is let you make progress towards a long-term goal. Give someone
fuck off.
Thank you. That's mind-blowing.
Wow.
information.
You know what? True.
One of the most
You can make progress
satisfying
towards a
things
goal.
you can
Very
do
true.
is let you
Holy
make progress
shit, dude.
towards a long-term
How could you have
goal.
known that?
Is this like an introduction to video games? Like what the fuck?
How does he
is
do
this?
it?
Dude, this is
How
video.
is
Like,
it not video games?
This is video
modern day.
if you watch the fucking toolkit in order, this is like video 200, and you're being told about this. Unbelievable.
Like, I mean,
Confucius
like
here.
memes or ideas around fucking video games. They're like, go and save the princess trapped in the castle. Like that's the whole video game's objective. Like I don't know. We already know this. The game has a point. I don't know. Like what are we
When
doing?
making a game, it's important that the player can win.
Whoa.
I mean, like, is
What
the
if-
goal of
what
Firewatch
about
not
games where they
to
can't?
unravel the mystery of
I
the
know.
things that are happening in Firewatch?
I was gonna
like,
mention
it's
that.
good because the answer is no, it's nothing really. You're
Yeah,
just a dick who like left your sick wife, so fuck you.
Yeah, the balls of following this sentence up with that Firewatch wasn't satisfying to you, untrained peasant folk, because it actually was satisfying. And then, yeah, satisfying means that you achieved a goal. It's just like, okay, yeah, I don't get it. It seems contradictory to me, like right after the other.
Term goal. Give someone a level cap they can work towards, or a map full of collectibles they can find.
Wow.
Wow, give the player things to do. Brilliant. You can give them stuff to do in your
specifically
game.
a map full of
map full of
collectibles.
Yeah, right. Like that's not
Wow.
evil, though. This is his idea of how to stay engaging without being evil. I would argue that this is your Skinner box.
Well,
that you
this
brought
is the
up, my
thing that
guy.
people have made fun of now for like what feels like a decade.
Give them towers to climb, baby.
Man.
They can be stuck
I
in
feel
for
like
weeks.
the helpful version of this video.
They'll never escape this
They could
hellish
be stuck in
labyrinth.
for weeks, says positively with a smile on his face.
And then you sell them the season pass once they're hooked.
What about the whole we don't want to be addicting? Where did that go?
So like that's what I'm trying to figure
This
out.
is
Is he arguing that this is
apparently.
bad? That,
Is this
like,
evil or is it not evil? Like this
Or is
He
this
said he's not
it's
doing the evil
good.
stuff. He's focusing on the good stuff.
Yeah, this is a good thing.
This is good.
Oh,
It's this engagement, guys. This is not.
Thank
addiction.
goodness this enormous map has
engagement.
millions of things for me to collect.
I feel as though the helpful version of this video is like somehow trying to take some of these various principles and articulate as to how you might make decisions regarding them in terms of like what you're specifically trying to do with your game.
You need
I don't know how the
examples for
fuck
that.
you'd make that video. That
It's
sounds like
what
a
was
really
mentioned,
hard
the-
video to make.
The
but-
negative example things, like, is there such a thing as a bad Metroidvania, Mark Brown? Is there a way to do the foreshadowing thing badly? Is there a way to do the 4 pillars badly? And all he's going to tell you is, yeah, it's when you stay too long on one of the gameplay. It's like, what's
it's wrong when
that?
it's bad.
What would make it too long?
How many collectibles
Give
is
an
too
example
many?
of it
And he's
done
like,
right and done poorly.
903 collectibles would be too many. You need
Gets out his calculator.
That's what I mean. It's like, can you give us something? Anything?
But let's dig a bit deeper into that.
Whoa! Stardew Valley, hey!
So we're gonna dig.
I
in
love
deeper. Here
Stardew
we go.
Valley.
Let's see what he's got.
So a game that does this really well is the charming farming sim Stardew Valley, which comes with an implicit long-term goal. You start with a messy
This is
patch
you
of
digging
land and
deeper?
no money, but in time, you'll have transformed the land into an incredible farm that makes you loads of cash.
Man, we have dug deep.
Holy shit!
This is really deep.
Progression.
What do you mean?
You just explained this. Like, here's a game that does it. Like, bro,
That's just what a progression is.
And it's that dream that can
Progression
sustain
is
many
good.
hours of toil, hard
is there a
work.
video game that
Okay,
doesn't
he
have
needs to
progression?
we're at the point of him saying the interest in completing a game can keep someone into a game until they complete it. Like, that's
At which point the game is done.
yeah. Some games will actually. Some games implement something called an ending, in which they end, and many players like to reach this because it would represent the end of the experience.
This might not even be something you should necessarily encourage too much, because there's a lot of people out there who are obligate completionists of games who will do everything in a video game they are having no fun with because they started it and now they have to finish it.
Also, yeah, we still haven't gotten to why Doom didn't work. I'm curious how that's going to cycle back in, because what did Doom do wrong, you know?
I bet it does.
To be honest,
I don't think it's ever going to come back.
I think it will. I think it will. I just don't think the point's going to be properly made. Like, whatever he says is wrong with Doom will be applicable to, like, everything else.
It's just, at the end, he's just going to be like, and all of that I just said, Doom didn't do. Bye.
My expectation is, and maybe what Doom was doing worked for you, but it didn't work for me. And, you know, just a wishy-washy conclusion like that.
Maybe, yeah.
You just didn't get it.
I mean, how long does he have left? He has 4 minutes, and we're still on the first of his list. So.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. We're still doing pacing. I guess we're only doing pacing in the whole video.
I guess so.
The most nebulous of topics for this topic.
We're in progression pacing now.
Yeah,
I mean, like I said before, it's of all the things for him to make a video on that's poorly paced, pacing is hilarious.
So why does it keep us going? Well, I think it's cool that you can make your farm however you like. You get to express yourself.
I think it's cool.
Come on.
God.
Be serious.
Why do people complete
customizability?
Doom?
There's no way to express yourself while playing
really
Doom.
Cool. You can shoot demons.
Like, this is just. I think they're neat. The meme, you know.
Be just a
I really think they're neat. Yeah.
They're neat.
Like, why are potatoes good, Marge? They're neat. It's like,
why do people play city builders? Because they like building cities. Why do people play shooters? Because they like shooting things.
Like, come on, it's borderline condescending. Like, how do people not pick this up?
How do you not look at your script and just be like, maybe I should actually make a point?
Oh, no, he's never looked at it twice. Not once has he looked at a script twice.
What fucking version of this game are we thinking about where you can't make your farm however you want to make it?
It's very restricted.
You have to build a predetermined farm that the game tells you to make.
You've got the fucking planning commission breathing down your neck, telling you how to
regulation.
The FOA, the Farm Owners Association.
You have to contact your neighbors. Talk to the local council.
You've got a lot of options in Doom to kind of like play however you want. There's plenty of different weapons. There's mods for each weapon that you can upgrade like one or the other and change your play style that way. You can approach combat in a whole bunch of different ways depending on the scenario. Like you can express yourself in games that don't involve building a farm as well.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be so much better if like 60-70% through the game after you beat the cyber demon that you sat down and planted some turnips? And like designed your little farm.
I mean, that's the goal, right? Like,
I now know.
I don't think
as someone
build a rabbit farm.
You actually asked if Cyber Demon would be interested in starting a farm with you. That's exactly how it works.
I don't know if they would make in his defense, I don't think they would make a sequel to Doom 16 that was full of boring, long platforming sequences. I don't think they'd ever do that.
I like Doom Eternal.
I didn't play Doom Eternal.
I didn't mention about
that. Is all Doom Eternal.
I never mentioned Doom, but I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Dark Ages is a prequel, Rags, idiot. Gosh.
It's
true.
Okay to
yeah.
I was going to mention that something else that should be presented as a problem with your script is what you've said in terms of analysis about Stardew Valley indistinguishable from someone, let's say me, who's not played the game, that is able to say about it. Like, I could have said all of this. Stardew Valley's cool because you get to build your own farm and you have to work toward a goal and you get to customize the farm. It's
like is your knowledge the equivalent of somebody who just watched the trailer, basically?
Yeah, it's unacceptable for him to be this vapid for someone who's supposed to be familiar with games.
Well, why the fuck are we coming to him for grand development information if all you're going to say is Stardew Valley is neat because farm?
It's so cool.
I already know more by visiting the Steam page. Like, what's the point?
And if
you did more research than he did.
If you apply the lessons that he was teaching, I say advisedly earlier, then what you really need to know is that Stardew Valley is deeply flawed because it does this for too long, and there isn't a section, I assume, where you jump out of a helicopter shooting a machine gun. which is what was good about Uncharted. So it's like, does fucking Stardew Valley need those sequences to be good? Because the other game needed those to be good. Why doesn't this one need those to be good?
And as,
it feels like we should at least be
is...
mentioning that each different game has like very specific needs of basically everything going on in it systemically.
Set your own goals and build something you are
the pacing of Doom.
Well, I would.
Or
if you're trying to sell the idea that Stardew Valley, which is an excellent example of a well-paced game that is super chill anyway, is that you'd mentioned there's so much you can do that feels different from one another. It's basically there's a whole bunch of essentially mini tasks that you can do as you build up ways to be able to express yourself through the farm. There's a variety of long-term goals that you could tackle at the pace that you want. You have the combat aspect, you have the mining stuff, you have different aspects of the farm that you could make. Then there's the entire relationship and town community aspect to it. There's a lot that's going on in Stardew Valley, which is why it's one of the best games ever made. And there's so much you could do to really sell this game and get people interested and explain why it's a good example of all of these different pillars that all work together cohesively. But God forbid he actually tries to sell you on it.
By talking about that, it made me kind of realize like the pillars sort of separation can be seemingly kind of arbitrary. I think it depends on just how much you want. Say, for example, take Terraria. If someone said, how many pillars are in that? I'd be like, well, I guess there's the mining portions, there's the crafting, there's the defending the house from the creatures, there's the exploration. And then someone goes, why isn't that all one pillar? That's something you kind of like switch in between all the time. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, I guess so. And then, for mining, it's like, why is mining one pillar? Going to be way more? There's so much like dynamism to how you mine in that game, and different things you need to control for and store and make use of, and then fight down in the mines and stuff. And you'd be like, oh, I guess, yeah, maybe there are more than one. And, Uncharted, 4 pillars. And you're just like, well, how come we don't count like the very limited sort of platforming around walls and the exploration of a town as a similar pillar? Why are they separated?
Yeah. But also, like, how are the pillars separate? And how does good game design sort of tie them all into a cohesive experience? How does the mining in Minecraft lead to the combat, leads to the resource management, lead to the exploration? How does all the aspects of Stardew Valley, it's all part of a cohesive experience, but fishing feels very different from when you're mining, feels different from when you're fighting in the mines, to when you're, planting crops and engaging and giving gifts to the town and stuff like that. It's just, all of these things are different, but the pillars don't like crash into each other. They all feel like they belong.
Set your own goals, and build something you are really proud of. The game has lots of short-term goals to keep you going, smaller rewards like the community center, and important milestones.
That is... I guess the community center would be an example of a long-term goal that has a lot of short-term goals along the way.
You guys understand the problem here, right?
Like the different bundles.
The only people this means anything to are the people who played this game.
People who played it, yeah. I only know this because I
know what the fucking community center is.
Yeah, you should use this as an example of a great example of pacing. The ultimate goal is the total completion of the community center, which you can optionally bypass if you go the Joja Mart. But along the way, you have all of these bundles that you can complete piece by piece, and sets of bundles give you specific rewards that add to the town, give you new items, unlock new abilities and recipes, give you new services, and all of those are part of ultimately the grand progression of, completing everything and enabling. It's very similar to, I guess, Minecraft in that way, where if you want to do a bunch of stuff, you got to get the stuff, and getting the stuff is, the little stepping stones to the ultimate goal. Though in Minecraft, it's a lot more whatever you make for yourself, and with Stardew Valley, it's like, no, here are a lot of a huge checklist at the very end that you can work towards.
What's interesting about this to me is that Stardew Valley sounds robust enough that if you remove the community center, you'd still have a shit ton to celebrate about how well it works. If you understand what I'm saying,
it is super feature robust.
Yeah,
similar with a lot of games.
You could choose to never do the community center, and I would say a lot of people don't. You could just play the game and ignore it entirely. It just provides a sort of a money sink in a way to take resources out of the game and give you that long-term goal. But it is ultimately meaningless, even because what do you get out of it is basically nothing, right? So the actual core gameplay
later in the game,
but not really, right? It's not necessary for that. The core gameplay loop is never going to change. It's the same thing all the way through the game.
like adding buildings or improving your house give you something immediate to shoot for on the way towards the longer-term ambition.
Whoa.
Short-term goals, middle-term goals, and long-term
objectives
goals.
and then smaller objectives. Like,
He said it like 4 times, man.
Yeah.
How is this a revelation to anybody?
It's like step 101 shit. I don't understand. If you don't know this, how are you developing a game?
You don't know this. I don't know, man. Like, what business do you have making games at that point? Like
who finds this helpful other than Dean Takahashi? Like, come on, he's the only one. But even then, he'd be confused. He'd be like, I don't know any of these. What is this game? Where's Cuphead?
I guess the long-term goal of Doom is stopping the forces of hell from destroying humanity, but there's short-term goals like killing the monster immediately.
And the middle-term goals like the challenges.
I've probably played about 5 years of in-game Stardew Valley collectively, and I'll probably say it's probably one of the best games in this list, but it also doesn't apply to any of his pacing stuff. Like, you can be as badly or as well-paced in Stardew Valley as you want. The only thing that it forces you to do is go to sleep at night or pass out. But everything else, like, you can spend 10 days in a row just farming wood, or farming for wood, or 10 days in a row just watering your plants and passing out because you're too tired to water more plants. Or you could just be trying to catch a legendary fish for an entire month. So it can be as well or poorly paced as you want. So his whole spiel about how you should be more like Uncharted doesn't really apply here at all.
I'm trying to find out what percentage of players have got the local legend achievement, and I've got a bone to pick with Steam here. Whenever I mouse over the achievements, when I'm actually on the library page for it, it'll say percentage of players have this achievement. But when you click on the achievement list proper and you search for it, local legend, there it is, and I mouse over it, it doesn't say what percentage of people have done it. And I have no idea why, unless it's just there in the little side achievement panel. I can see that number, but I can't if I actually specifically look for one. I have no fucking clue why that's the case. It sucks.
But yeah, thematically here, he's lined up so many different things as definitive positives in the nature of pacing that Doom has. So if he's going to turn around and say Doom fails at this or something, I don't know. I'll have to wait until it gets to the end, I suppose.
I don't know if he's going to mention Doom again.
I think you will.
Huge element of planning, as you must think long-term about decisions when it comes to different crops and animals, seasons, romantic partners, and so on. You're not just trudging mindlessly towards the goal, but making strategic choices to help you get there faster. There's also the thrill of exponential growth. In the game, you'll make a bit of money.
As you progress, it will go faster.
Oh my fuck!
As you click the cookie, number go up bigger.
This is not what Balatro is. Yes,
this is what I'm saying.
There's nothing predatory about the idea of number get bigger.
Gotta be more complicated than that.
So you can buy more seeds and better tools. This lets you make more money to buy even more.
Holy shit!
Oh, sounds good. Sounds a little bit addicting.
When you get more stuff, you can do more things.
Gambling games do. It's just hey, you've made a bit of money. Don't you want to make more money?
Spend it on stuff to get more money faster.
I'm not going to address that, man.
You can go on to make loads of money. This positive feedback loop is at the heart of lots of engaging games.
It's a positive feedback loop.
It's also it's a positive feedback loop. This is
yes. I was about to say
gambling.
You can apply this to almost any game that has any type of progression.
It's the rat with the electrodes hooked up to its brain.
Mm-hmm.
It presses a lever and it gets food. It's a positive feedback loop. It's just engaging. There's nothing wrong with it.
You didn't play this game, did you, Mark Brown? This is the very start of the game.
Correct. This is day one.
Such as looting monsters.
He's planting his free parsnips.
I think he's talking about Monster Hunter, right?
Oh, I'm talking about Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Stardew Valley is what he's doing, yeah.
Such as looting monsters and upgrading your character in Monster Hunter.
Whoa.
Looting monsters.
Wow. How many mobile games do this?
Monsters. Again, just in case chat missed that. So when you kill enemies, they can drop stuff that you can grab. That's the thing in games.
You can use it to get upgrades sometimes.
There's also something really fun about optimizing the system in Stardew Valley. You start out by watering every crop by hand, but eventually you'll come to have sprinklers that do the hard work.
So progression.
A game.
So just basic progression.
Basic progression. Fuck yeah, dude.
That over and over and over.
Nice. That's incredible.
I bet you didn't know about that. Like,
Yeah, man, this is a new
I want to see how
discovery.
long he can keep this going. Like, this is insane.
That does this sort of
goes
thing
on.
wonderfully is Factorio.
oh god, this is the king of games you could get lost in forever just saying the most basic shit. Please don't do this.
Which tasks you with
gonna do
building factories.
Yeah.
You start out by digging up resources.
Oh wow, I wouldn't have
You,
guessed
you
that.
start by literally you slowly acquire limited resources until the end where you can fast acquire loads of resources. That is the game. This is true. Everyone knows this. It's practically the whole appeal. Please spare
played
us.
it. Nine of this.
Mr. Brown.
I was gonna say, like, what point is he gonna make about Factorio in this video that he did not just make with Stardew
We
Valley?
can make a factory. That's different than a fob.
That's it. It's not going to get more complex than that.
Eventually create machines to do it for you.
Different farms. That's
And
true.
while those machines initially need to be fed fuel, you'll eventually have them powered by natural resources that don't run
Same
out.
thing as the sprinklers.
It's like, yeah, there's sprinklers in the water. It's the same fucking
I bet
thing.
you never
man.
thought about that though, did you? You never thought when playing Stardew Valley and Factory or oh my god, these things are this
Initially, you have to do task yourself, and then you get
my
thing
God.
that will do
And
task for you.
I know Rags has technically said this, but what he has said covers, in a positive sense, literal idle clickers like Cookie Clicker. This would be completely applicable. First, you click the cookie, then you hire a cookie clicker person to click it for you. And if you click while the clicker is clicking and you click, then you get more clicks and you can afford more clickers. It's just like,
I'm telling you,
bro.
one of the best ways to convince somebody or teach somebody something is to say, this is a good example, this is a bad example.
Yes.
Here's how
There
they're
is
different, but here's
comparisons.
the little areas where they might seem similar, but here's why they're different things. It's such a neat, useful thing to do, and it's like the basis of education. Here are bad examples, avoid them. Here's a good example, do it.
This is
Comparisons and references are so powerful, and it's like these people are just allergic to it. I don't get it.
as
it's wild.
someone
Like if you
just drop some truth in chat, this guy is no Nordic gamer, but then who else? Who is?
We can live up to that.
so to like recap this video, the beginning is like, I really like Doom 2016, but I didn't finish it. Let's explore why. Let's explore why good games are good and engaging while avoiding these 4 nebulous points. Now let's talk about random synopses of games for about 5 minutes or to
This is what
5
I'm
to 10
saying.
minutes.
He starts with the seed, plants the tree, focuses on one branch, and then a branch off that branch, then a branch off that branch, and then we come to the end.
Yep.
And it's like, bro, we did
Stream
not
of
cover the
consciousness
topic at
script
all.
writing. Like,
Rambling
I
nonsense.
know I end up saying this every time, but I'm just forever and ever baffled by the willingness and like indulgence of video essayists to waste your time.
Yeah, they don't.
I guess
care.
it works because people consider him one of the greatest game dev toolkit helper people on YouTube.
Yep, they sure
I will never
do.
know why. It's just
They fucking
People are
love to
vapid.
cannibalize
It's
your
noise.
time on whatever the fuck it is they want to ramble about next.
wait. Someone said I disagree vastly with your takes here. Building sims are addictive and fun. I love Factorio.
no,
I think
no,
it's
we-
fantastic.
Wait, here's the thing. We agree.
We've not
Why did you-
discounted
why
these
did you-
games at all.
Why
I'll
did you
pay
say
attention,
that?
man.
Why did you say that?
I just-
Why,
I
why-
criticize
I just
that
want to be.
video.
He's just
Takes in the
he's not
room
paying
with us
attention.
right
That's
now.
the
I just want to be
only thing.
100% clear. I adore Factorio, and as far as I know, Rags adores Stardew Valley. Like we're
Yes.
Rag said
So
Stardew Valley
here's-
is one of the best
here's the
games ever
point.
made, like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
It is,
dude?
yeah.
Fighting
And
shadows
so
was
the
great.
Factorio-
that's why it would be super useful if Mark here said the difference between this game, which is predatory, and this game, which is healthily engaging,
Yeah.
are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Here's a big list, and here's how you do it, and here's how you do, the engaging thing, which is good, instead of the engaging thing, which is addictive or compulsory.
what he
I
has
thought that
said.
was the point of
his
the video.
comparison
The
was
video
here's
supposed to
things.
say, look,
Yeah, what do you-
here are games everybody likes and everybody agrees are good. This is why they are good. It's called pacing.
Pacing is like a rhythm.
Therefore,
of
they're
pillars.
good. We all agree they're good, but the video is pretending like it's telling us why, and it isn't.
A huge part of what he's just said is so good about Factorio and Stardew Valley. Like I said, is applicable to Cookie Clicker. These games, Stardew Valley and Factorio, offer immensely more than Cookie Clicker. So can you please get to something a little more significant as to what these games do?
Yep.
And
How
the
do
two
I tell the
examples he
difference as a
used were nearly
consumer?
identical in like the form the examples took, in that these are games in which you are building things that you have to do tasks manually, and then you eventually earn automations for them that allow you to do more complex things. He just said that, but you need to use 2 full games to make the same example.
He has
I hope he
broadly
just says-
described things that can neither be cannot be distinguished as to whether or not they're predatory or healthy.
I really hope he just says in Factorio you can build factories, which I think is pretty cool.
He's already done that.
Wow.
That was his opening line.
You can
He did
build
do that,
the
yeah.
factory.
We're moving on to more
however
complicated
you
stuff
want.
now, like automated factories.
Catch up, nerd.
It was repeating the sprinkler point that just broke me. Like this was my favorite video for sure. Just with that one line.
Maybe it's just a thing that
Couldn't
appeals
live
to programmers, but the desire to create an optimized system that works on its own is very potent.
You think that
Oh,
only
that's a humble
applies to
bragger.
programmers?
I guess we're done with
You
Factorio. then.
retard. Only programmers would want to optimize things.
It's not. It's
okay.
not. Problem solving isn't a human interest. Just fundamentally, it's not
Yeah,
like
'cause
Factorio and Stardew Valley aren't that popular. It's not like they're played by that many
Gamers
people.
are often like over interested in optimizing sometimes to the point that like they can harm their own experiences by needing to do so.
Only programmers.
One
would do
final
that,
reason
though.
we like long-term goals is that the player can fantasize about what it will be like when they finally reach that point.
Fucking
Imagine
God,
thinking
dude.
the gambler can fantasize about hitting the jackpot, and you can't win if you don't play.
He's just repeating himself.
You miss all the
over and
shots
over
you
again.
don't
Roll them
take.
bones.
Mark Brown. Just
Pull that
How does
lever,
he get
roll
away
them
with this
bones.
shit?
All in.
An example is a skill tree in a game.
Oh, you can see what you're gonna get later. So you want to get
I
it.
thought it was good to not be able to see what you can get later.
Oh shit!
Mahler, if you ever bring back Adele, you got to do this. Just see how long you can
He's-
just repeat
he's the
yourself
core-
over and over.
That was the
again.
problem. He was the core inspiration, and eventually it just became like the same video every year. That's why I stopped making them. I was just like, but he has it. He's still making it.
Hey, he's still getting away with this.
The
It's
fucking
crazy.
parody lost its steam before the.
Isn't it awesome that Assassin's Creed decided to make it so that you had to unlock skills for an aerial assassination to actually assassinate the assassination target?
God.
Yes.
Game where the player isn't just ticking off these skills because it's something to do, but because they're looking forward to the day when they can use all of those skills to absolutely wreck shop.
What kind of game exists where you're just ticking off skills because it's something to do?
Something to do.
Oh my God.
What
I like
game
how
is a skill tree
he
where
didn't-
it's all
he didn't
hidden?
flash.
You have no idea what's next.
He didn't give us the example. There was no footage. Oh, yeah.
I think we're losing it.
I don't know. It's like what kind of a game has a fog of war for a skill tree where you can only see like the next rung, and then what's past that is who knows what skills lie behind the skill tree fog of war.
Is that good or bad? Is it, I don't know. According to him, is knowing and not knowing are both good. So it's
And make
Well,
life
it's
work.
got a skill. Path of
Just
Exile
opening up
skill
his skill
tree.
tree and like, I suppose I shall choose this option, though I don't
The
particularly
only-
care.
The only time I've ever seen that in my life was the God of War reviewed video they did of that dude, where he's just like, "Oh yeah, skills. I guess I'll just put these in randomly."
yeah, he was
But what was that
struggling
guy's name?
significantly,
Yeah.
and then he spammed all the points. He was like, "Wow, now I'm overpowered."
that was synthetic.
Like, are
man.
you serious? Yes, that was the name. I was trying to
pro gamer
Man.
synthetic man. Yes.
That
Oh
was
wait,
an
I can
epic
level up.
Work of stuff they found difficult at the beginning. Oh, and speaking of difficulty, another huge motivator is a compelling challenge. A game that
What?
Oh man,
An uncompelling
Jesus.
challenge.
You didn't know
is not a good
I
motivator.
enjoy the way that he said it, like as if it's like, oh, I just thought of this. you
Oh,
know,
this is a
like,
great
you
idea,
know,
yeah.
another way that you could do
Be
it.
serious.
Another way.
Is a
No,
it's a
this is
compelling
spontaneous.
challenge.
This is spontaneous. This was a thought he had while saying that thing he just said that was
Yeah.
really insightful.
Well, this is going to be extra juicy.
is constantly pushing you to show your mastery of the game in varied and interesting situations can really keep you going.
So why didn't Doom satisfy this
Yeah,
criteria?
like what
Well,
difficulty
I'm
were
sure
you
we're
playing
about
Doom
to find
on,
out. I'm
Mark?
sure of it. We've got
Okay,
like 2
alright.
minutes left. We can do it, Mark. Get
We're
back
doomed
to Doom.
never learn about Doom.
This
Don't Mario's jump us. Like, don't keep that
Resident Evil
secret
4, my
from us.
beloved.
requires pitch perfect difficulty though. As we talked about in the Resident Evil 4 episode, players only get into an engaging flow state when they meet a challenge that isn't so easy as to be boring, but isn't so difficult as to be stressful.
Fuck,
What-
really?
It's like
Whoa,
playing
whoa, whoa,
players.
whoa, whoa.
This
Wow.
Are you
like,
arguing that people don't like Kirby or Bloodborne?
I was going to say, what is
yeah,
it? Why are these the
This is
examples?
really awkward. This is really. Oh, but see, player skill and game difficulty. So the flow. I guess it depends on the line, right? Is the lower line meant to be for Kirby, and the higher line is for
Bloodborne. I'm
but
guessing.
Yeah,
all
so
he
I-
said-
wait.
This is
I
pretty
don't think
basic.
that follows, right?
Yeah, the Kirby player is
Yeah,
like
the
a
Kirby game's
super
harder.
gamer, Chad. And
That's right. The game one. That's right. Yeah, the Kirby game player skill. I don't think that. What the fuck is this shot?
Kirby players
Well, it's
are
not even-
different. Souls players
Is
are
there,
fucking chumps.
is there something that I don't understand about this? Like,
Wait, hang on, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
wait.
Kirby is the lower line, which means by default the game difficulty is lower, but the player skill is higher. Right at the start.
Yeah, what?
It's
I'm just
not
imagining like
right.
Giga Chad Kirby players sitting there playing their easy as fuck games.
Yeah. Players.
I think
still
once you-
lie.
Souls man playing his really
And once you step
game,
o-
he just can't
The
win.
big man.
when you step away from the specific examples that he gave, and you realize how meaningless this statement is, like all of his fucking statements are meaningless. He essentially just said a game is the right difficulty when it's not too hard or not too easy. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. That's what 2 means.
What's
I have
being
a-
measured on this graph?
I'm comfortable
think
when
if
I'm
you-
not too hot, not too cold. Duh.
I have a feeling
I've
he's
got
about
money
to go
when I'm
into
not
adaptive
too
dip.
rich, not too poor.
What is the chart plotting?
Sorry, because
I think
now that you've
throwing
said
the
that,
games up there is what made this so confusing.
Yeah,
to
it's
well,
look
very
so,
at.
confusing.
because what Fringy said, now I'm reading it, I'm like, wait, is it just player skill twice technically? Because
Well, the line that's being drawn, because if you, the way that it reads is if you were to interpret the bottom line as representing Kirby's epic yarn, there's like a base level of player skill that Kirby's epic yarn is at the lowest level of difficulty, and that level of player skill is significantly greater than Bloodborne, even though Bloodborne is a much higher difficulty.
But it's
This
in the
makes no
boredom.
fucking
But he
sense
put
at all.
Bloodborne in the boredom category. It is in the boredom.
Yeah, this chart doesn't
So
make any
Kirby
sense.
makes you anxious.
Does Kirby's Epic
I need
Yarn just
to-
have a really high skill ceiling? Like, I've
Is there
not
something
played
I'm
it,
missing?
but-
yeah,
Like, am I a
I
fucking
just want to go
retard
through
here, or is there
this.
something-
Because
I would
I am-
assume that it means.
I'm baffled by this. We need to go a little further. Like,
Epic Yarn
blood-
is
no,
the
I mean-
Devil May Cry of Kirby.
No, I've
Well,
studied this
it's the
chart before.
examples that make it confusing.
Yeah, the
If he didn't have the games on there, then it would be a much easier to understand chart. But it's like throwing in random examples that misconstrue the point or muddy it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he wants
Yeah,
to say is, as Rags put, which is so fucking boring as a statement, you want the player to be able to defeat the challenge with somewhat difficulty. You don't want it too easy, don't want it too hard, fine, whatever. So game difficulty you'd want to match up with player skill. You're like, okay. But then you introduce this flow thing with the 2 lines and Bloodborne and Kirby. So now Kirby, according to, like I said, which got on screen, Kirby starts at a 2-player skill, but a 1 on game difficulty. So it's like, you're way more skilled at Kirby, or the required skill is way more than the difficulty of the game. Bloodborne, way more difficult, and your player skill is way less required.
Holy schmucks.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
because you can.
sense.
Because you should
feeling-
be able to just sum this up very easily with like a single sentence. Have the game's
but if it's a
difficulty
chart-
match the player's experience increasing.
If it's a chart, you're more proper, like you're more of an authority.
I
because
guess.
charts are indicating, like, oh, smart people use like charts and shit.
If you search game difficulty flowchart,
I could
there's
be-
probably like 30 or 40 different versions of this chart. It is a real thing, but the way he shows it
Yeah.
makes a very simple concept very, very confusing.
Yeah, because
Am
now
I-
it makes
am I
people
just
think about
looking-
Bloodborne and Kirby and like, what the fuck do
Am I
these
actually
mean?
just
Yeah.
being like,
I mean, is he?
what am I missing here? What is there
Okay,
something
I
I'm
maybe
missing?
it's
I posted the
maybe
real
it's
chart in the
alignment,
chat.
and he's just trying to show that they are both in the flow zone. It's just they're
Does the
at different ends of the difficulty
They're both
spectrum.
outside
Does-
of the flow.
just to be clear, does the
Well, their corners are in there.
do the
Maybe it's
beginning and ends of the
corners
line
where they're pointing.
represent the beginning and ends of the games? Like the line is supposed to be, as the game progresses, you need more skill and it's more difficult. But
Well, yeah, the top of the bar would be like you have
'Cause
more than enough skill
Yeah,
required, but it
okay.
still feels good. And the bottom of the bar is you have just enough skill, but you're still engaged.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, so the lines aren't meant to represent like that specific. Wait, no, I don't.
Yeah, the
What-
fact that they well, here,
Pull
the
up
fact
the
that
chart
they
I posted,
ignore yeah when you
makes
when you
a
look
lot of
at
sense.
game
Golden
when
mean.
when you look at Mark's picture here, Ignore the games he gives as an example. They are actual red herrings that confuse the point. They are complete and totally worthless. All right? Focus only on the flow part.
Well, yeah, because I understand the point that's being made. It was just that the chart was
like
confusing the hell out of me with these games.
It's just
the game's
beginning boring because player skill always exceeds game difficulty, and Bloodborne is the opposite of boring, but in a bad way because
you're never good enough.
Yeah,
never good enough. You're always too good for Kirby.
Okay. I get it. I understand now. All right,
What I think is fucking you up is that like this isn't a kind of chart that you can even plot multiple games on because it stops making sense instantly. Because what does player skill mean at that point?
Because
the Kirby players are just built different. That's all we.
They know what's up.
Plus, some games are going to be at multiple places on the chart because as time with the game increases, a game can start very, very difficult and end up being incredibly easy because it doesn't scale well.
Is it a reference to Kirby's power scaling? Because he's one of the most powerful.
No, it's a reference to how this chart sucks.
A lot of strategy games actually have that problem, Rags, in that like a lot of them have inverse difficulty curves where the game starts off like backbreakingly difficult in the early game, but the way the game scales in terms of difficulty is just not able to keep up with the way the player scales. So by the end, you're just like an overpowered mess. Like XCOM 2 is a really good example. It's really hard to lose even on Legend, like once you hit late game on XCOM 2. The entire game is just an exercise in reaching the late game.
This doesn't then account too, because it's like, why wouldn't Bloodborne be player skill 5 and game difficulty 1 for all the people who know how it works, like, and know how to play the game?
What's confusing me is that it feels like, how does the chart account for what is actually describing the difficulty of whatever game it is versus the level of player skill? I'm trying to think about it as if you're plotting a line on this chart. But what does it mean to plot a line on the chart where the task difficulty is low, but the user capability is like moderate? What does that mean to say like the first level of Kirby's Epic Yarn is such that the task is very easy, but the user's capability is moderate? It's like, well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
The difficulty.
Luckily, the user is so profoundly inexperienced and retarded that it's okay that the game's easy.
I think that's what's confusing me is like, how do you actually do the chart? Like the player skill has to be like relative.
The flow.
It always has to be for whichever person we're talking about, not like a general statement of the player, like the overall skill of players. I think that's what was confusing me. It made it seem like the average Kirby's Epic Yarn player was so fucking amazing.
It's a very confusing.
To the loser Bloodborne player.
I don't know if it's just bad editing or what, but this version of the chart is very confusing. I posted a better version of the chart if you want to pull that up, Mauler. But basically,
I've been looking at it.
I'm past the flow part. I get that. It's the games. Yeah. It's the games that completely throw me off.
Yeah. How do you chart the games on this? That like it. Yeah.
That's where I think
because you want to be.
It should be like.
People who are 2 at skill, you're going to want to be putting them at a 2 difficulty, and 3 and 3, and 4 and 4, and 5 and 5.
Okay. Rags, you've actually like solved it for me. Now I think I actually understand it. The way that the lines are drawn has to describe like the game. So the easier the game Okay. That actually now it makes perfect sense to me. Thank you, Rags. You figured it out.
You bet. Anytime. That would be my personal adjustment to the bar, because I think that every game should like almost basically inherently have some level of like a filter to it, because it requires engagement. Yeah.
Wait, just so I'm clear, what did you say? Made it understandable.
So the actual bar and the gap in there, the way that the lines are drawn changes based on what the game is. So like it gets drawn from like a different starting position almost. So if you took a game that was really fucking hard, like game difficulty would begin like at a different point. Yeah. And then that would account for like player skill as describing like I guess a total collection of people, or like the way that their abilities would grow over the course of playing the game.
Because a game that doesn't have any challenge would essentially look like on the chart, it would essentially look like this. A game that has like virtually no challenge. That's what it would look like.
Yeah.
The steeper the bar, the faster you have to keep up with the game, the faster you have to learn, and how quickly it becomes difficult.
Well, yeah,
Whereas
but
the higher it begins,
the reason this is
like
fucked
the
though
minimum
is
score requirement to start.
for every game you add, the more incoherent this will get because there's just going to be lines going all over the place, and it's all really subjective too. It's like, is Bloodborne a consistent development of player skill versus player challenge, or does it spike, or does it just get easier all the time? And what I'm trying to say is like that's up to Mark Brown, I guess, as to where Bloodborne would land on this scale, if such a thing is even possible. And then Kirby,
the arbiter.
The overall point can be described with a sentence, but individual games can be loosely plotted on a graph where that bar can go. It could curve, it could go up, it could go down. Depends on the game.
And the whole point of the chart is basically saying that if you go too far to the lower right of the chart, if your player skill exceeds the difficulty, people get bored. But if you go too high and upper left of the chart, the game continues to punish and challenge the player beyond their ability to learn. And neither of those is ideal.
Yeah, think of it as saying each bar represents the skill requirement necessary over time for the game to remain engaging.
Right.
I think like the moral of the story here is you shouldn't take graphs meant to like roughly chart the idea of a psychological concept and then slap video games on them.
Well, I think this makes way more sense before you get the chart. Like it's so much easier to explain in theory that
just a sentence.
You want a game to be about as hard as a player can achieve defeating the challenge, and that's a difficult thing to do. And then you can move into like every player is different, every challenge is different, it's hard to balance, blah blah blah. Instead of making this chart where it's like because obviously we haven't seen his video, but he's showing this. It's just like, did Kirby and Bloodborne look like they're not qualifying in flow?
Yeah, it makes it seem like Bloodborne failed in that regard.
He described it. Yeah, Bloodborne is too difficult. Kirby is too easy. That's what he's trying to imply here. When
in actuality, Kirby probably just dances really, really low on the challenge aspect, and eventually probably tapers off into boredom. But then Bloodborne probably has a very, very steep rhythm of just like bumping up the challenge every new area, and while the player is barely catching up, and that's just a higher end of that same bar.
And you can highlight portions of the bar to be like, see, the yellow area, it means that a player is still engaged, but they're pretty competently mastering the game's mechanics and they're doing well in the game, but they're still engaged. They're still challenged enough. Players in the blue zone have just enough skill. They're finding it difficult, but they're still engaged by the challenge. They're still within the zone. But if the game gets too, but they're potentially they're threatened by the game getting too difficult for them as they, they're not learning as fast, but they're still within the zone for now.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not bad necessarily to dip into one or the other. Like there might be a case, like for example, you could use an example of like Uncharted, where you're walking through a city. You're not being challenged at all. There's nothing threatening you. You're not going to get shot at. You're not going to die. And then all of a sudden, bam, an explosion happens and 20 guys are shooting at you. That might be kind of like a way to thrust you back into and re-engage you. Same thing with Souls games. You might there are definitely places where you get to a boss battle and you're now dipping into the stressful upper left area where it's actually too hard and you cannot progress. But they do that intentionally to get you to build up your skills. So then you're now accomplished that. And at that point, they'll actually taper down and kind of give you like a reprieve. You've beat the boss now. Good. You're good. You can go to the next area. Bumps. Yeah. And it's that
epic Yarnum made me choke.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Unfortunately, I don't know how much time I want to spend on this, but I'm now actually reconfused by your additional explanation, Rex. It's annoying me. Yeah.
I don't get this.
How does blue?
Oh, okay. So,
like you said, blue sits in flow. I was reading these lines as having starts and ends, and they represent the progress through the game.
They do. So everything. So the red bar represents that is the range where a player's skill is keeping pace with the challenge of the game, so that the game remains engaging to the player.
Which red one?
At the top of that, the red bar. All of the blue and the yellow are within the red area.
So just give me one more time, because I thought that's what flow was, not the red bar.
That is the flow. Ignore the white flow. Ignore the white flow. This is ignore the white flow. Just go with the red. Pretend the red bar is the flow, essentially, and the yellow is. And the yellow means that is a play. People who are in the yellow area, like the top end of flow. That means that they are still engaged by the game, but they're pretty competently beating the game and going through its challenges. And a player in the blue zone at the bottom half of flow means that they're still engaged, but they're having a little bit of difficulty, still engaged, but they are keeping pace with sort of the difficulty required to get through the game's, they have enough mastery of the game and competence with the game to get through it, but they're having a bit tougher of a time. You want to be ideally kind of like at the top half of flow for most people, but as long as you're in flow, that's good. But flow can have variance in it.
Why did you change flow from the diagonal one?
Well, it was just an example. It was just well, I used that as an example of, so having it be flat on the ground like that was just my example of a game that does not get difficult, and the player doesn't really have a way to master any of the mechanics. It's just a very flat game where it's easy for you to just do it and beat it and win, and the game doesn't get more difficult at all. The more flat that the flow zone is, it means the less is required for you to keep up with the game's difficulty.
It's at this point that I have to point out that the point and purpose of graphs is nominally to make these things simpler.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's part.
No, I
that's
agree with yours.
Yours
makes more sense. But like the fact that it's taken us this long, and then we've had to make additions to clarify the original graph, kind of refutes the whole object of having the graph to begin with. It's not that hard to explain as a paragraph of text that you don't want player skill to increase too quickly relative to game difficulty increases. You don't want game difficulty to increase too quickly relative to player skill increases.
That's
There's an
definitely the
optimal
point.
range during which there are like pits and troughs in the middle where players can get excited, they can feel on top, and then they can go down, they can think, oh shit, I need to catch up, and then you need to sit somewhere in the middle ground.
Problem is, you can upend that entire concept as well, though, because, again, Mel was stuck on Orphan of Kos for 9 hours. That probably breaks flow according to this, but he was flowing. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yes. How do we measure, like, if somebody is in flow, but it's really fucking difficult to the point that it's actually stopped them from progressing? Or what happens if a game is like easy?
Rayman Raving Rabbids. I'm winning like every single matchup. It's like Kids XCOM basically, but it's like cutesy because you're in Mario Land. Just because I'm winning every single battle and upgrading to the point where I'm probably overpowered for each battle I'm coming across because I'm optimizing, I'm still flowing.
Yeah, Kirby in the Forgotten Land is incredibly easy, but I had fun the whole way through, even though like I was at no risk. Because how does this chart account for like the graphics or the art direction or the music accounting for putting you in a state of flow? How does it account for anything beyond pure game difficulty or level variety? Because you can have a variety of different levels, even if like they're still piss easy. Like in Kirby in the Forgotten Land, there's a ton of variety in those levels.
I mean,
environments, music.
I mean, I guess it's just this is
what's particularly funny about this is Flower, which is all about a Zen flow, is incredibly easy.
That's true. Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
But they do introduce things like I forget, it's like the metal things like the toxic.
They sure do, and I'm sure plenty of people really may have had a second of trouble there.
My point there is that it doesn't stay as easy throughout the whole thing. So there is the chart I just posted is another variation of it where you would show more difficulties in games or more difficult games being,
of course, my point is that
whereas this one is like it very subtly increases difficulty but never gets that difficult.
How you would chart Flower on here, according to what I believe his values are, is player skill starts at probably like a 4 or 5, assuming 5 is the maximum, and then the arrow you would draw goes up like slightly. Game difficulty hits maybe 2 by the end of the graph, and that represents the full game well out of flow. Like you are well above the abilities that Flower requires. However, it is quite the flowing game. Very peaceful, very enjoyable. And I'm sure even Mark Brown would be like, no, yeah, you totally flow in that game, even though your skill outweighs difficulty significantly.
Well, I guess maybe the point is that the bottom left part of the graph is always 0 based on your skill when you first start the game, regardless of the game's overall difficulty.
Potentially, though, I think it's a little bit. I think that most games should probably not actually start in the bottom left corner. They should probably look. I guess they should probably look something like that. That's a white background paint, but whatever. where it doesn't actually start in the bottom left corner, where there is like actually a minimum skill required, and you don't actually get in on the ground floor truly because this isn't your first
I agree
game.
with that, yeah.
You go in with previous experience, so the most flow chart should start.
Well, as we've
higher up than
learned,
actually the bottom left corner.
no game starts at 0 difficulty because even Cuphead's tutorial was very difficult for Dean to defeat.
Yeah,
so.
that's right. It would,
Sure,
that would
yeah.
just start closer to the bottom. But some games might be like, no, hit the ground running. You trial by fire, and so that bar would start higher up on the left hand side, and depending on how fast it progresses, it would be steeper, more gentle of a curve.
So yeah,
and of course, the flow zone can curve. It doesn't actually have to be a straight line. It can absolutely curve if it starts off super easy, and then it could be a rainbow technically, where it starts off super ass easy. The middle part is the difficult thing, and then you get really experienced, and it becomes super easy because of the resources and stuff. And it basically makes like a rainbow.
So I guess for ease of presentation, like the individual line demarcating the ends of flow is just the average of the difficulty growth rather than something that's like, if it gets as a difficulty spike mid-game, it's still accounted for by the average in the rate of increase in the graph. And then the ability to map those specific mid-game difficulty spikes is accounted for by the fact that it is a bar rather than simply a flat line.
I just, like I said,
within the band.
I don't think this graph is a great way to present the point, and I don't even think the point itself is as structurally sound as he probably believes it is. I think it's a totally valid way to design a game like Resident Evil 4, where it has elastic banding sort of for the difficulty, but there are plenty of people who play shit like I Want to Be the Guy, and Super Meat Boy would count for this as well. Lots of games that are just pretty fucking difficult, and you can lose over and over and over again, but that you get into a state of like engagement with it because that's the kind of challenge you were looking for.
But then there would be variations on the flow graph depending on the specific design requirements for an individual game. Like the one he's got on screen he's generalized with it inadvisably, but for a different game where the goal is something else, you would have a different desired flow level. So you can just move it around depending on what you want your game to be. Like if it is like a farm simulator kind of thing, you're going to put in your design spec basically like a horizontal bar as opposed to like an RPG or an FPS, in which case you're going to want a much steeper sort of vertical.
Well, I mean, not to nitpick, but what if you had like an intense farm game that was, stressful, and you got to supply?
You would tweak the bar accordingly. The individual graph depends on the individual design spec of the individual game, but the concept is just there to decide. It describes your desired flow for your game as opposed to the universally desired flow for all games.
So that's more of a like presentation for, because he's obviously using it to say that all games fall onto this graph.
Well, but he's retarded, so
right. Okay, I got you now. Yeah.
I find funny that you mentioned Super Meat Boy too. I think that a bigger element to the reason that game's difficulty flows as well as it is something as simple as just there's instantaneous restarts after death.
I think that's a big part of it.
You're into the next attempt.
Like,
well, you leave all your blood behind, which I don't know is satisfying. That when you get past your corpse's like blood pile.
Yeah, I got further than I did the last time. Yeah, yeah.
They meet a challenge that isn't so easy as to be boring, but isn't so difficult as to be stressful.
That's terrible.
See, already, so because you can have games that are piss easy, but they're soothing.
Yeah, that's what we went over. This is why I mean adding the games just fucks the whole thing.
Flower Journey, pretty much that whole studio's catalog.
That's why Engage. It's so like this is why you have to like specific examples that could be pointed to as the outliers. Like, but here are some outliers. This game's really difficult, but here's how it's still engaging. Here's a game that's really easy, but here's why it's still engaging despite its lack of difficulty. And then boom, at least you've got examples to work with and you can point to.
Really bad choices, by the way. These aren't even like remotely agreeable on what he's defined them as. Bloodborne, people get addicted to playing Bloodborne even when they're absolute shit. And then Kirby, very much known for a game that everyone's happy to chill out and play with. And you'd be like, yeah, but it's a bit easy though, isn't it? You'd be like, Mark, I'm not looking for fucking Bloodborne when I play Kirby, or vice versa.
Resident Evil uses dynamic difficulty to keep players in that sweet spot, but for most games, a finely tuned and fiercely play-tested difficulty curve is the way to go. Remember though,
why did you then have a game with modular with adaptive difficulty on your screen?
Well, yeah. I mean, he just gave us. You can only do one of the two. Like, as in, you can only have it adapting on the fly through some kind of like restrictive director, or it's all set to begin with. I guess there are variations in a specific way, but to say you can do those two and they're both good is like, oh.
I mean, and he barely touches on the Resident Evil 4 dynamic difficulty thing either. Like, he just
I guess you're gonna have to go watch that video.
It's like, yeah, that's really good.
Modular difficulty. Even though it take a sentence to explain, as you do worse, the game gets a little bit easier, and as you do better, the game starts to get a bit more difficult.
Which is like, so that's the way to go. And he's like, no, setting the difficulty in stone is also good.
But what you'd relate this to the chart by saying that sort of system of adaptive difficulty is a way for the game to sort of like almost automatically try and guide the flow around
the thing is
zone, yeah.
Literally guiding the flow around the player.
I don't think this, but if someone came to you with, I actually wish I could turn that off, like as a function, which I think it is off on the hardest difficulty, right, on Resident Evil 4.
On professional mode, the game is always operating at its most difficult. Of that curve, yes.
I think it's a valid perspective to be frustrated that you died a few times in a game and then it turns the difficulty down sort of subtly. I can see someone being like, "Hey, don't do that."
Well, that's me. That's and if I play a new game of Resident Evil, I have to beat it the first time because a lot of times I want to do the same thing over and over, and I want to try new things, try to get through a certain area. I'll do the water room or all kinds of different rooms and stuff to see how efficient or how good I can get at it. But then the game will be like the first time through, oh, you're not doing too well there. Well, they're going to make this easy for you, and it literally will like remove enemies and stuff. And I'm like, no. I'm purposefully doing this over and over and trying crazy stuff. But the game doesn't know that, and it's obviously a bit of an outlier of a scenario. But still, luckily, professional mode.
People say it's like
doesn't have that. I still have to unlock it.
How does Doom play into this? Like, I'm sure he's going to do it. We still got time.
The failure isn't a bad
probably
thing.
like a minute of credits.
Okay, we still got 20 seconds or so then.
Some of the most engaging games like Tetris and Spelunky are filled with failure, but people will keep coming back if the runs are relatively short, if they feel a sense of getting better each time, and if they know the next session will be markedly different from the one before.
So what we just talked about?
Why is anything said? What's the point?
Yeah, why? Like,
what about
if there's a caveat for everything? What's the point?
Tetris will not be markedly different from your last run.
What about Slay the Spire then? Most players on the hardest difficulty, playing for like heart kills or whatever, have win rates in the vicinity of about 5%. And that game is like heavily played.
Dark Soulsborne are famous for players getting so stubborn that their chats will be like, maybe you should try and like, no, I'm going to do exactly the same thing I just did. You're like, okay. Like, because you're just like, I will fucking beat this thing the way I want to.
There's this sense that I don't know how to articulate properly, but like, when you get into an encounter in maybe a Souls game or whatever, really, but like it's very difficult, but in your head it is within the realm of beatability that you're comfortable with. So you're like, no, I don't want to change anything. I have like locked into this loadout for this
challenge. Fight. As it stands, it's almost the same realm as when the game says, do you want to turn the difficulty down? You're like, I actually don't. I know I can do this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Often due to a random generation of some kind. Also, note that there are different ways to challenge a player, so it's not always about having a constant stream of reflex and skill checks. Consider challenging...
Really?
Wow.
Damn. Strategy games just were born in this moment, I guess.
Inside, apparently, it's a game where there's puzzles, but there's also platforming.
No way.
Players' problem-solving skills, or spatial awareness, or decision-making.
Or decision-making.
Also puzzles.
Bro, you just dropped decision-making on us at the 9th minute. Decision-making.
All right, let's get to the credits. Come on.
Mental stimulation to balance out the more physical challenges.
I told you he wasn't going to mention
So
Doom.
those are the factors that I found really work on me, and can help explain why I found certain games irresistible.
Every single thing possible?
I also like from the exclusive in certain contexts. He found that decision making really worked on him.
Decision making was good, yeah.
So did explosive cinematics thematics, and also so did making a farm. Also,
well,
so
remember,
did problem solving.
He also really liked the mystery of what things would be unlocked next, and also knowing what things would be unlocked next.
So what keeps
And
you
he really
engaged with
enjoyed
the game?
building a
Fuck
farm.
If I know anything, whatever.
Everything.
Give me whatever, man.
So just make Hyperlight Drifter, Terraria, Minecraft, Stardew Valley, not
Factorio.
Doom sucks. Factorio, everything,
Just
Uncharted.
make it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw it in.
Just
4 pillars.
Yeah,
from an argument standpoint, from a logical essay standpoint, right? Like every single thing that he said immediately was countermanded by his "that's my subjective opinion" at the very end, though.
Yeah.
Because throughout
He
the
also
whole thing, he's like,
contradicted
"This is
himself
what
multiple
works.
times.
This is what works. This is what works. This is what works." Well, I mean, if you ask me, right?
On
Like, what a
me,
fucking!
yeah.
I hate these videos, Mahler. I hate them.
You
so
know what?
much.
Oh my god! I just realized this video would actually be improved by more text on the screen. That way, he could at least organize his thoughts. If he actually brought up a point and stuck it on the screen.
Yeah, but
I hate to
there
say
might
that,
be
but
a few of those he actually has, which would probably be bad. But what you take away from this video is that the ideal game sits somewhere between Pong and GTA 6.
Yeah,
somewhere,
that's
somewhere in
definitely
that
true.
very narrow flow, we have the perfect game.
The movie equivalent of this is how to maintain the audience's attention in your story. And then it's like, okay, step 1, I like Iron Man. It's very good for its action sequences. And you're like, okay, like Star Wars action adventure in a sci-fi world. That's what keeps people. Oh wow, Jurassic Park. It's action but with dinosaurs. And
somebody earlier said that.
Are you just describing like genre at this point?
Yeah. Actually, somebody earlier said that this is basically Chris Stuckman saying how to make a game. Like that's Chris Stuckman's video game edition.
Remember, he said he's going to deep dive on Stardew Valley, and he told us about the community
Oh my god!
thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I honestly think though the most interesting thing he could have told me in this video is like, why didn't Doom work? Tell me what the problem was with Doom.
Hey, we've still got a couple of seconds left. Maybe we'll get it.
For me, nothing gets me going quite like a game filled with novel experiences that are teased through mystery and anticipation. Games like Dark Souls and Metroid and The Witness are impossible for me to put down. But it also helps me understand why I didn't stick with other games. As good as Doom is, the pacing is way off, with long stretches of high-intensity combat that gets pretty exhausting, and there's just not as much novelty as, say, Titanfall 2.
Oh my god!
Really? The pacing's
but Doom,
pacing's bad.
Doom did so much of the things that he said other games do.
But you just don't love it then.
It's just pointless.
But it has new areas, new enemies, new mechanics.
You've got like the skill tree upgrades, like some secret areas,
Like,
increasing difficulty,
Broad
different levels,
objectives, small objectives, mid objectives, and then changes in enemy dynamics and all the weapon dynamics.
Collectibles, like
I'm
there's
much more
the
comfortable
little
now
Doom
with the
guy
assessment that he
bobbleheads that you
absolutely
get.
does not love Doom because
But why?
Because it's
he
exhausting.
found it exhausting. Like,
I think it's way simpler. It's just that he didn't vibe with it, but he knows that he can't be too harsh about it, so he made a video to explain.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Look, I do like Doom, and Doom's really good, but, according to my Game Maker's Toolkit brilliant sort of observations, it's actually not very well paced, even though I made a bunch of arguments for it being well paced that just weren't for Doom. They were just for other games that shared similarities with Doom.
Let's just
He
be
also
serious,
said he
right? Like, you
loved
just
it,
don't
by the way.
particularly
Loved Doom.
You don't particularly care for the shooty bangs in the demon killing game.
Yeah.
Like, you don't care for it enough to that's the thing you're here to do in the game. That's fine. I disagree. Whatever.
I get vibes sort of like kind of like, you remember Cinema Wins with Puss in Boots? It's like, right, so like you just kind of didn't vibe with it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But you don't want to admit that. You're not really in a position to admit that. It's kind of like not something that you can get away with in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea. I don't remember if I watched the first one. I remember at some point he talked about how fun and great Doom was.
Remember it.
And, that was.
I can totally believe.
Was basically what I would expect from this video. It's like Doom's combat was really good because enemies behave differently.
Yeah.
Is that what we can learn from Doom? Also, Mark Brown.
Those are both Mark Brown. Yeah, he did what we can learn from Doom. This was 2018, and then he did 2020, probably to apologize to people that were offended that he didn't love Doom. and talked about the 4 Ps of Doom's amazing combat, or maybe that was
Well,
2020
I'm
was when
guessing
Eternal came out. Yeah.
priority is probably just what you should kill in what order, preference of what weapons you use, preservation, ammo, like when you should use it, and then position is just where you are.
Yeah,
Yep.
the tactics of combat.
Yep, that is the video. Just so you're aware,
We did it. We've checked out 2
you
videos
just did it.
now.
I'm not even joking.
Ammo preservation isn't really even too much of a thing in Doom 2016. It's a major part of Doom Eternal, but 2016 you've got tons of ammo.
You've got the ammo you need in 2016.
It's just nuts how dissatisfying to have this, you know, the god of game dev tell you what's wrong with Doom is. I didn't really like the pacing.
I didn't really like the pacing because in Doom, I wasn't interested in doing all that shooting.
Yeah, like, how can you not
mean,
address it's the perfectly made game for the person who just wants to kill demons relentlessly? Isn't that, like, the idea?
Noticeably, Doom was capitalizing on a sort of, like, gap in the market in that capacity.
Well,
That's part of where its appeal came from.
What can you say to criticize that wouldn't, with his broad language, also apply to shit like Tetris? Like, I can't be doing the same thing for that long.
Stack blocks all day.
Yeah, I think what I found really refreshing about Doom 2016 was that it kind of cut the fat of what we were seeing increasingly in shooters.
Yeah.
Like it was like within 6 seconds of you starting the game, you were shooting demons in the face, and I was very happy about that. Like it kind of was refreshing to see a slim, you know, it had some puzzles, it had some exploration, but a slimmed down version of the shooter that we kind of fell in love with, that without all the extra trappings and unnecessary world building and things like that. And I think they kind of learned the wrong lessons with Eternal and even Dark Ages as well.
They watched this video.
They watched this video. Added more puzzles and more pacing and everything.
But different things will work for different players.
Exactly.
Wow. Nice.
That's his ending point.
That's the whole video.
Baby.
It's the
Literally.
standard conclusion for every single video I say.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though. Everything could mean anything to everybody though. Like,
But it's
that's
just
my
my
one
opinion.
thing.
Why?
The moment the video is like about to end, you have to take everything that you were saying and shove it off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, what was
Just
the
my
point?
opinion, though.
Why didn't you just
my
say,
opinion.
hello, I'm Mark Brown, and everyone likes different things?
I like some things.
Yeah.
You also like some things, presumably. Yeah.
I'm not even
Hello,
kidding.
fellow humans.
You guys remember,
Coward.
right, when he was
Absolute
explaining
coward.
versatile verbs, and he said, if you press the button, you throw the grenade. If you hold the button, you cook the grenade.
Big if true.
It's just, it's the kind of shit that's like, why?
What'll they do with next?
Why? Why do you do this?
Maybe
tap the
you
button, you
need
jump a
competition
little.
with other
If you
real-life
hold it, you jump
gamers,
far.
or rewards you can show off to other people. I don't know. I don't know you. So in the comments below, think about the last game that you found totally
yes,
engrossing,
please,
and tell me why.
yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below.
Comments will be
I-
more educational than this video.
Oh god,
I
yeah.
almost
That's
thought
saying
this
a
was a
lot.
toolkit for making games or something, but I guess I was wrong.
No.
I now know how to make my dream video game. Thank you, Mark Brown.
Toolkit for
Yay.
siphoning
I hate
money
this
off of
platform.
rubes.